Reverend Mike Quota, King David. Holy Emmanuel.
Selassie, Jah, Rastafari.
God was so great, Jehovah. Glory
Go hard unto the Son, unto the Holy One of creation. As Jah was in the beginning, now and ever shall be, Jah world without end. Selassie, Jah, Rastafari.
Songs of praises. I know I should ever give unto thee, O great God. With our anxious soul. Safe. Yeah.
Rastafari. And we continue this opening hymn. Hymn number 5 from the Black Christ Salvation. Guide me out, thou great Jehovah. Pilgrim through this barren land. I am weak, but thou art mighty. Hold me with thy powerful hand. Bread of Zion, feed me till I want no more. King Emmanuel the 7th, Adonai God, Jah, Rastafari. Asking any joyful soul in the ear of this our opening hymn to free the rise, and all who don't know the patient to listen. Clap on, eventually join in one sweet accord. Hymn number 5 from the Black Christ Salvation. Guide me out, thou great Jehovah.
Guide me over great Jehovah.
Pilgrim through this barren land.
Pilgrim through
this barren land. I am weak, but thou art mighty. I am weak, God, thou art mighty. Hold me with thy powerful hand. Hold me with thy powerful hand. Bread of Zion, bread of Zion. Bread of Zion. Bread of Zion. Feed me till I want no more. Feed me till I want no more. Bread of Zion, bread of Zion. Bread of Zion. Bread of Zion. Feed me till I want no more. Feed me till I want no more.
Open up the crystal fountain.
Open up this fountain.
Whence the clean water flow.
Whence the healing water flow.
Let the fire clothe the pillar.
Let the fire cloud it pillar.
Lead me on my journey through.
Lead me on my journey to
Strong deliverer.
strong deliverer. Strong deliverer.
Lead us till my strength and shield.
Lead us till my strength and shield.
Strong deliverer.
Strong deliverer.
Strong deliverer.
Strong deliverer.
Lead us till my strength and shield.
Lead us till my strength and shield.
Pour us.
Strong deliverer, strong deliverer. Strong deliverer. Strong deliverer. He now still my strength and shield. He now still my strength and shield. When I try the birds of Jordan. Did my anxious fears subside? Did my anxious fears subside? Hear me through the swelling current. Hear me through the swelling. Land is safe on Zion's side. Land is safe on Zion. Song of praises, song of praises, songs of praises, songs of praises. I will never give thee. I will never perverse and foolish half restrained. Yet in thy love thou hast taught me, and on thy shoulder gently home rejoicing thou brought me. Guide me continually, O thou great Jehovah, pilgrim through this barren land. I am weak, thou art mighty. Hold me with thy powerful hand. Last
This is the Ethiopia Africa Black International Congress. Blessed love. This Bobo Ashanti Melchizedek True Divine Church of Salvation, formerly at 54B Spanish Town Road, now headquarters at Lion Bay, P.O. Box St. Andrew, Jamaica. We stand governmentally, parliamental, statical, churchical, and sabbatical with our founder, worthy founder, leader, President God and King Emmanuel Charles Edward the Black Christ in flesh, Holy Emmanuel I, King Selassie I, Jah Rastafari. We are above all organization, including this crocodile Baphomet government of Egypt, Jamaica. The Black Christ government is here to land every man, woman, and child under his or her own vine and fig tree. Meaning, first and foremost, that the 12 million square miles of Ethiopia, Africa, including Madagascar, is the inheritance of the black man and the black woman alone, and no one else. Jehovah, Jah Rastafari. Europe is for the white man and the white woman. China is for the Chinese, the Taiwanese, etc. India is for the Indians. The man said North America is for the Cherokees, the Sioux, and the Apaches. The man said South America is for the Aztecs and the Mayans. The man said all small island in the Western Hemisphere, including Egypt, Jamaica, is the inheritance of the Arawak Indians, Fidel Castro's people, Marcos I, King Selassie I, Jah Rastafari. These prophecies are written in the book of Micah 4, Joel 3, and Isaiah 40 and 3, recorded in the 1611 King James Version Bible. My name is the Honorable Priest Richard Crawford, known also as Priest Imani. I have been a Bobo Ashanti since May 1999. I have been a priest since May the 2nd, 2011. I am the author of Death to Reggae, my very first book in this life, Jah Rastafari. Death to Reggae documents some of my childhood years growing up in Rollington Town, East Kingston. It also documents my 4.5 years being in the belly of the beast, Los Angeles, California. The very same place where I also received my epiphany with the Black God of Ethiopia, Holy Emmanuel I, King Selassie I, Jah. Death to Reggae is an assassination order upon King Nebuchadnezzar and his wicked music industry. It's an assassination order upon the appearing company, Mr. Babylon, that comprises of the British monarchy and their Queen Elizabeth II, that controls the finance through the house of the Rothschild. It's an assassination order upon the White House, aka the World Police. It's brimstone and fire in the Pope Mall in a Vatican City, who controls Jesus and them religion, Holy Emmanuel I, King Selassie I, Jah Rastafari. Black people, Death to Reggae is an urgent need for our universal freedom, redemption, and international repatriation. Now and now, we demand that 21 miles of high water ships be delivered this 1st of August, with CNN, BBC, Reuters, Associated Press, and Al Jazeera present to document the Black Royal Ethiopian exiles boarding our Black Star Liner home. We demand this whether by earthquake, lightning, or thunder, or by I black hands. Our freedom is a must. Let it be known to the evil white world that we do not want Egypt, Jamaica. This country is locked up for election, born election. Time to select the 140 and 4,000 elected saints. Man, woman, and children numberless as the sand of the seashore, crying out, Sila, Selassie, Jah Rastafari. Ethiopia, yes. Black people, and Jamaica, no. Never give away your continent for no Arawak land. The Honorable Prophet Marcus Messiah Garvey says that if we can't do it, we shall die. And because I'm unbonded, I'm have to do it. John Marcus I, King Selassie Selassie I Jah Rastafari. King Emmanuel says that neither politics, religion, nor reggae can lead you to God. He says that many Rastaman involved in a reggae, but them lack foundation, and them are gonna end up like the reggae king. Fire burn Rome, Holy Emmanuel I, King Selassie I Jah Rastafari. This audio presentation is the Death to Reggae version. Jah Rastafari. Now, worldwide reverence, taking great pleasure. Continue on reading from Death to Reggae. From the subtopic worldwide reverence. Continue on reading. Why is it Jamaica, or those referred to as Jamaicans, is so revered wherever they find themselves in the world? Question. I am shown respect with immediate effect wherever I set my foot in California. Whenever the people are aware I am from the island of Egypt, Jamaica. This level of respect or fear is shown both covertly and overtly, creating the impression you are being worshipped clandestinely by everyone. I am sure some of you know exactly what I'm talking about, and most of you would instinctively attribute it to the reggae music and to a lesser extent our athletic prowess. Yet this same reggae music is only popular because of its Rastafari tenets that are explicably attached to it. Even though Rastafari rise in Egypt, Jamaica, it's not Jamaican in origin as reggae is, but is Ethiopian in birth. Where you birth, Ethiopia is greater than where you were born, Egypt, Jamaica. And a lion born in an alligator pond, Egypt, Jamaica is still a lion, because the Ethiopian cannot change his skin, just like how a leopard cannot change its spot, says our mighty black prophet Marcosai, King Selassie I Jah Rastafari. Now, our African Ethiopian retentions were resurrected while being in captivity by no one else but the greatest prophet ever born from the womb of the black woman. The Right Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey, who reincarnated in 1887, 53 years after the Jewish white world slave trade ended the 1st of August 1834 in the Caribbean, was a burning and a shining light, and he were willing for a season to rejoice in his light. Marcus I, King Selassie I Jah Rastafari. The Right Honorable Prophet Marcus Mosiah Garvey taught that black people's God must be worshipped rightfully through the spectacles of Ethiopia. He also taught any leadership that teaches you to depend on another race, that such a leadership will enslave you. The Right Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey was so feared in Egypt, Jamaica, and by the white Jewish establishments of America and Europe, the Illuminati became uncomfortable with his presence and his black supremacist stance of Africa for the Africans. Jah Rastafari. This also drove the U.S. State Department in taking cross-counsel immediately with aims of destroying his UNIA organization by forming what still exists today as the Federal Bureau of Investigations, the FBI. Even the former drag queen director of the FBI, J. Edgar Hoover, mentioned that the power the most Right Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey possessed in America was too much for one black man to have. The very nation of Islam was formed also as a diversion as well to dampen the UNIA movement of the Black Tiger, who had white America trembling to their knees when they fully caught realization of his vision. This vision emanating from the lair of Harlem, New York, where he was headquartered. The Nation of Islam was set up by Fard Muhammad, a CIA and a thief that had a history of racketeering. Fard Muhammad, a white man, then handed over his Muslim organization to his protege Elijah Muhammad, who eventually got dethroned by Malcolm X. Malcolm X's both parents were also staunch Garveyites until both were killed in separate incidents related to these said evil whites. Black people, no other Jamaican have ever created such attention in the world, politically, culturally, spiritually, and even intellectually, at the magnitude of the Most Right Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey did. None, no not one. No Merlin Ottey, no Usain Bolt, no Norman Manley, no Michael Manley, no Alexander Bustamante, or even Dead Marley, individually or collectively, could be contrasted with the works of the Most Right Honorable Prophet Marcus Mosiah Garvey. He is the reincarnation of John the Baptist, making him also the forerunner in both dispensations of the Black Christ coming. Melchizedek, the King of Salem, the King of Peace, the King of Righteousness, and Black people's comforter. King Emmanuel VII, Adonai Gaja, Rastafari. So the awe and reverence enshrined to us from the world didn't came more by either reggae, athletics, or even by the exploits of the politically affiliated posses that transformed both America and Canada into fighting crime from a different approach. Nah, the constant attention afforded to you as an Ethiopian exile has more to do with the works of the Black Tiger, Marcosai, King Selassie, Jah, Rastafari, the Jamaican politicians, artists, and athletes. Everyone must not only give lip service thanks to the first national hero of Egypt, Jamaica, but to worship him for actually immortalizing us to the world. Nations like China under Mao Zedong, Russia with Vladimir Lenin, and even Adolf Hitler of Germany, including countless more countries, couldn't be where they are today without the philosophies and opinions of the greatest prophet that live and walk the face of the Almighty God, Rastafari earth. John Marcosai, King Selassie, Jah, Rastafari. Taking great pleasure, continue and reading. The Trinity. The original concept of the Trinity exists first celestially, spiritually, and according to the law of correspondence, quote, as above, so below, as below, so above, end quote. One of the 7 universal laws of creation. A physical equivalence of this celestial Trinity have to manifest earthly, correlating with what's happening heavenly, pineal gland. So the triumvirate black government started with the forerunner, the Honorable Prophet Marcus Mosiah Garvey, and strengthened royally when King Haile Selassie I of the tripartite met the high priest of the Holy Triplication at King's House, Egypt, Jamaica in 1966. The Trinity of the Father, the Son, and the Holy One is also equivalent to your mind, goody, and spirit, black man and black woman. This black fact demolishes the saying, no two things can occupy time and space at the same time. Yet your mind, goody, and spirit are 3 that do. So Yeshua Christ transfiguring into the prophet Elias and king and into the king Abraham in the high mountain before his very disciples meant that God's government manifests through Melchizedek's righteous kingdom of the prophet, priest, and king, who is the earthquake, lightning, and thunder in a flesh, who is the God of the earth, sky, and sea, Holy Emmanuel, King Selassie, Jah, Rastafari, our 1 in 3 and 3 in 1 power of the Trinity, Holy Emmanuel, King Selassie, Jah, Rastafari. The Jamaica visitation in 1966 by the Negus Negast was special in that the exile here in Egypt, Jamaica land are his very own blood relatives. The Negus coming and meeting the Arman, King Emmanuel VII, fulfilled to Ethiopians home and abroad what prophecy and history has recorded in the King James Bible, a book documenting the lives of God's chosen people, our creation, ascendancy, our captivity, and ultimately now our total freedom, redemption, and international repatriation out of dirty Babylon. Jah, Rastafari. Isaiah 40:3 verse 5-7 quote, fear not, for I am with thee. I will bring thee from the east and gather thee from the west. I will say to the north, give up, and to the south, keep not back. Bring my sons from afar and my daughters from the ends of the earth. Everyone that is called by my name, for I have created him for my glory. I have formed him, yea, I have made him. End quote. Psalm 68 verse 31 quotes, "Princes shall come out of Egypt, Jamaica. Ethiopia shall soon stretch out her hands unto God." End quote. Amos 3 verse 1 to 2 quotes, "Hear this word that the Lord had spoken against you, O children of Israel, against the whole family which I brought up from the land of Egypt, saying, You only have I known of all the families of the earth. Therefore I shall punish you for all your iniquities." End quote. Amos 9 verse 7 says, quote, "Are ye not as children of the Ethiopians unto me, O Israel, saith the Lord? Have not I brought up Israel out of the land of Egypt, and the Philistines from Captor, and the Syrians from Kir?" End quote. Taking great pleasure, continuing reading from the subtopic, Personal Visit. His Majesty was seated on the throne of Ethiopia and was planning the first of 2 visits to the shores of Egypt, Jamaica. There was a second visit by our Ethiopian monarch that happened on the 1st of January 1970, but was totally a personal mission of the king. To his only ambassador in Egypt, Jamaica, King Emmanuel Charles was the Black Christ in flesh. Holy Emmanuel I, King Selassie I, Jah Rastafari. The 1966 April the 1st visit established a constitution by our Negus Negas and was handed to Bustamante Shira government. The constitution that's still hidden until today by the current Baphomet crocodile government in parliament on the account that Shira says it should not be revealed in his time, in essence says all slave children must be handed over to the man of war, to the government of the EABIC, the True Divine Church of Salvation, Holy Emmanuel I, King Selassie I, Jah Rastafari. King Emmanuel, the King of the masses and King of the races, crown champion of human rights and human justice, Holy Emmanuel I, King Selassie I, Jah Rastafari. The second visit of His Majesty took place at King David Royal Court, located at 54B Spanish Town Road in Tivoli, Bakowal, the then foundation of the only Black Christ in the world before his Bobo Ashanti government relocated to Bulbe in 1972, where I'm doing this recording. Jah Rastafari. I was told by elders His Majesty spoke to the congregation present in Amharic, with King Emmanuel VII interpreting his words. His speech in essence was, quote, "This is the man you should look to, gesticulating in the direction of the Black Christ to solve all your problems." And before leaving the Bobo Camp Foundation, referred to King Emmanuel the Black Christ as Abba Saba, which interprets as the Lord of the Sabbath, and said, "I will meet you 2 weeks' time in Trenchtown." The Jamaican public was not aware of this second visit to Egypt, Jamaica, made by their King of Kings, Emperor Haile Selassie I. But the Pharaonic and Egyptian government did, obviously, because His Majesty told them he was making such a visit. The king was also quite aware of the works of the Honorable Prophet Marcus Mosiah Garvey. The Honorable Prophet Marcus Mosiah Garvey prayed and entreated God to send the standard of Christ, just as he did in the spectacle of John the Baptist, father forerunner of Yeshua the Christ, in the book of St. Matthew 3 verse 11 to 12, quote, "I indeed baptize you with water unto repentance, but he, King Emmanuel VII, that cometh after me is mightier than I, Marcus Garvey, whose shoes I am not worthy to bear. He shall baptize with the Holy One and with fire, whose fan is in his hands, and he will thoroughly purge his floor and gather his wheat into the garner, but he will burn up the chaff with unquenchable fire. Holy Emmanuel I, King Selassie I, Jah Rastafari." To show His Majesty was having contact with the man of war, King Emmanuel, a delegation was sent to His Majesty in Ethiopia, sponsored by the crocodile government, with intention of setting stronger diplomatic relations between both countries on issues such as even repatriation, etc. This visit to the king happened in 1961. 5 years prior, the Negus Negas, the first of 2 visits, in 1966 and then in 1970. The delegation sent on this mission consisted of politicians disguised as Rastafarians. King Emmanuel VII was asked to be a part of the delegation by the ex-government of Bustamante. The high priest replied asking, quote, if it's a political mission or a people's mission? Question, Jah Rastafari. The delegation of politicians and snakes that was sent without King Emmanuel the Black Christ included L.C. Leslie, advisor, Mr. V.S. Reed, co-advisor, Honorable E.H. Lake, Justice of Social and Welfare for Antigua, Dr. B.M. Douglas, Mr. Z. Monroe Scarlett, Afro-West Indian Welfare League, W. Blackwood, UNIA, and Cecil Gordon of the Ethiopian World Federation. The Rasta politicians were only Aiken Mack, Fillmore Alvaranga, and the dead Cuban Mortimer Planner. But the throng of politician snakes were given robes and turban by His Majesty and told next time to send the right people. Salvation God, Jah Rastafari, Sila, King Selassie, Jah Rastafari. The Reggae delegation parted in North America before returning to Egypt, Jamaica from their Ethiopian trip. The minority report detailed nothing substantial about the visit to Ethiopia for the Jamaican people, as if to say the visit was useless. The robe and turban given to the snakes and wolves was to show that the churchical order Melchizedek, with its founder God and King, the Black Christ in flesh and Lord of the Sabbath, is the right people the King was expecting. Many shall come in my name, saying, my Father sent them. But beware of wolves in sheep clothing. One God for us all, them and those that love politics, backbiting, and hold on must fall. Holy Emmanuel I, King Selassie I, Jah Rastafari. So our black Kabbalah king and emperor of our Ethiopian empire vacated his throne in Addis Ababa and made a descent of more than 11,000 feet into the slavery land of Egypt, Jamaica. This was done in effort of fully organizing, centralizing, and restoring his ancient government of the first ruling black power on earth that has been scattered 4 wings for over 2,000 years now. The King Haile Selassie I knows that the perfected priesthood office of Melchizedek Jera is the father of Ethel Ethiop, that peopled all Ethiopians home and abroad, and that Melchizedek order was suppressed by Menelik Solomon, Ebna, Hakim, whose line and direct lineage His Majesty has also descended from. His Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie I plus the 20 and 4 Solomonic kings of Ethiopia, starting with the first Menelik Solomon, son of King Solomon, were all coronated with the Solomonic Hebrew Jewish order and not the perfected Melchizedek sabbatical order, which is Ethiopia's true divine liberty. It was Menelik Solomon Ebna Hakim, the son of King Solomon, who changed the order and liberty of Ethiopia, Africa, after ascending the throne in his mother's city of Sheba, Ethiopia. Menelik Solomon, after leaving Old Jerusalem, today Israel, Palestine, with the Ark of the Covenant. Old Israel, located in Palestine, was founded by Melchizedek Jera and named after his wife Salem. Salem means peace, and Jeru was eventually added. Jeru means heavenly. Repeat. It was Menelik Solomon, the son of King Solomon, who changed the order and liberty of Ethiopia, Africa, after ascending the throne in his mother's city of Sheba, Ethiopia. Menelik Solomon, after leaving Old Jerusalem, today Israel, Palestine, which was founded by Melchizedek Jera and named after his wife Salem. Menelik I, on his way to the New Jerusalem, Ethiopia, was attacked at Meroe, a province of Ethiopia, now part of Sudan, by the Azeba, Sheba's tribesmen, the Cushites and the Sukkans. When Sheba, his mother, heard of this, she organized her own ferocious army, joined forces with her son, Menelik I, and crushed the resistance. The Queen of Sheba declared that the 40,000 Israelites are free to live wherever they choose in the Ethiopian Empire. Shortly after, Sheba passed on her crown to her son Menelik Solomon. Solomon Menelik was outraged by the acts of the tribes that fought him, and therefore went against Melchizedek's order in suppressing its language, culture, and royal ordinances and even ceremonies. Holy Emmanuel I, King Selassie I, Jah Rastafari. Menelik Solomon, who lived 3,000 years ago, must not be confused with Menelik II, whose date of birth is August 17, 1844, and who reigned prior to his nephew, His Majesty King Haile Selassie I, ascending the throne of David. Jah Rastafari. Taking great pleasure in continuing reading from the chapter King Emmanuel VII, Divinity. The Ethiopia Africa Black International Congress, known as the Bobo Ashanti Order, lives by history and prophecy, also written in the Holy Bible. History, in this case, defines as, history, in this case, defines has from before time immemorial, the moment just before the word becomes black flesh, manifesting into Christ man and Christ woman. Holy Emmanuel I, King Selassie I, Jah Rastafari. Allow me, saints and apostles, prince and princess, to repeat that. The Ethiopia Africa Black International Congress, known as the Bobo Ashanti Order, lives by history and prophecy, also written in the Holy Bible. History in this case defines as, before time immemorial, the moment just before the word becomes black flesh, manifesting into Christ man and Christ woman. I, King Selassie I, Jah Rastafari. Prophecy in this context interprets simplistically that what was in the beginning shall be in the end, perpetual motion, such as black supremacy and righteousness of salvation. Jah Rastafari. King Emmanuel permits the congregation to bring to Sabbath school only your hymn book and King James Version 1611 Bible. The Black Christ, our first anointed teacher, says the Bible, King James Version, is very symbolic, that it's mixed up with right and wrong. He says that we should hold on to the rights in it and use the right to defeat the evil white world who distorted it. King Emmanuel Charles Edward, the Black Jacob and Black Moses, said the King James Version will be thrown into the Euphrates River in our international repatriation. So we should start writing our Bible and start recording our Bobo Ashanti history. Jah Rastafari. Despite the gross deletion of books from the King James Version, including the book of Yasha, the Dijan Shoah, the book of Enoch, the Apocrypha, etc., including the systematic distortion of the current edition, still couldn't prevent us from seeing ourselves being depicted in the remaining 66 books. First and foremost, the Bible was not written by white people, and they do not have one either. It was written by us and is naturally speaking of us and also of our deadly enemies, Mr. Babylon. It, however, mentioned about a very mighty occasion occurring 4,000 years ago between Abraham, the father of the Israelite black Jews, in the land of Israel, Palestine, known as Canaan back then, meeting the high priest and king of righteousness Melchizedek Jerah, whose son Ethiop the high priest fathered the Ethiopians. The chapter at Hebrews 7 explains a spiritual and temporal understanding of what repeated itself again in 1966, 4,000 years later in our present dispensation. His Majesty's visit, as I say, was to restore the breach within the black house of the true Hebrew Israelites, who has been taken captive in ships and has been scattered abroad on plantation land such as Egypt, Jamaica. Some of us have been down here for more than 2,000 years now, when Melchizedek, Yeshua 2000 BCE, came again as the Black Messiah Christ, the son of Maryam Mary. King Emmanuel VII, the Black Christ, says that it was at Mother White Bridge, Outer Horizon, Spanish Town Road, that his crucifixion took place 2,000 years ago by the Romans. Not what we in the Egyptian West were taught to believe. It doesn't matter which theocratic treatise or Baphomet religious authority you want to come with, whether sponsored by Oxford, Yale, or Harvard, or the Pope himself. The truth is that the biblical crucifixion took place by the Romans here in Egypt, Jamaica, and nowhere else. Holy Emmanuel, King Selassie, Jah, Rastafari. The Black Christ, King Emmanuel VII, reminds us that it's those that wear the cross who crucify him. They intend to crucify us all if we don't repatriate out of this Golgotha island of skull and bone and go home. Before interpreting the chapter of Hebrews 7 verse 4, the readers must know that it's reincarnation that brought forward everyone to face this eschatological judgment. Reincarnation means repeat, in means like when you pour something in a cup or bottle, and carnation means in the flesh. So the very life force repeats itself to your mother's womb and father's lineage and bring you forth in this dispensation again. Holy Emmanuel, King Selassie, Jah, Rastafari. The office of Melchizedek is the highest standard and liberty that is made higher than all the heavens. Jehovah, Jah, Rastafari. Continue on reading from the 4th verse of Hebrews 7 and its interpretations. Continue on reading, Prince and Princess, my Lord and Majesty. Now, consider how great this man was, unto whom even the patriarch Abraham his majesty gave the tenth of the spoils. End quote. Interpretation. His majesty shook the black glove hands of Melchizedek, which symbolizes the black house of Israelites and the fifth kingdom of Christ that also stands with him. This said meeting also fulfills the whole chapter of Revelation 5. Quote, I saw in the right hand of him that sat on the throne a book written within and on the backside, sealed with 7 seals. And I saw a strong angel proclaiming with a loud voice, Who is worthy to open the book and to loose the seals thereof? And no man in heaven or in earth, neither under the earth, was able to open the book, neither to look thereon. And I wept much, because no man was found worthy to open and to read the book, neither to look thereon. And one of the elders said unto me, Weep not. Behold, the Lion of Judah, the root of David, hath prevailed to open the book, and to loose the 7 seals thereof. And I beheld, and lo, in the midst of the throne and of the 4 beasts were royal guards, and in the midst of the elders stood a lamb, King Emmanuel, as it had been slain, having 7 horns and 7 eyes, which are the 7 spirits and priests, priesthood of Melchizedek, of God sent forth into all the earth. He, King Emmanuel VII, came and took the book out of the right hand of him, King Haile Selassie I, that sat upon the throne. And when he had taken the book, the 4 beasts, as I say, are royal guards, and 24 elders fell down before the Lamb, Melchizedek Emmanuel, having every one of them harps, which is the royal divine Nyabingiada, and golden vials full of odors, which are the prayers of saints. And they sung a new song, saying, Thou art worthy to take the book and open the seals thereof. For thou wast slain, crucifixion, and hast redeemed us to God by thy blood, salvation, and out of every kindred and tongue and people and nation, and hast made us unto our God kings and priests, and we shall reign on earth. And I beheld and I heard the voice of many angels round about the throne, and the beast and the elders, and the number of them was 10,000 times 10,000 and thousands of thousands, saying with a loud voice, Worthy is the Lamb, the black Christ, that was slain to receive power and riches and wisdom and strength and honor and glory and blessing. And every creature which is in heaven and on the earth and under the earth, and such as are in the sea, and all that are in them, heard I, John Marcus, saying, Blessing and honor and glory and power be unto him that sitteth upon the throne, Emperor Haile Selassie I, and unto the Lamb, King Emmanuel VII, forever and ever. And the 4 beasts said, Amen. And the 24 elders fell down and worshipped worshipped him, that liveth forever, Holy Emmanuel I, King Selassie I, Jah, Rastafari, my Lord and Majesty, Prince and Princess. Now, taking great pleasure, continue reading from Death to Reggae. Uncle was automatically and appropriately added to Sam due to his connections in getting ones to the United States of America. Just as long as you have your money, frequent flying is possible. He acquired for me a passport that had a 10 years visa, but would be expiring in December the same year I am traveling. I took some passport-sized pictures, which he then in turn gave to his link, who replaces the deceased person's photo with mine. It was an easy job, similar to the kind of work done by Mira Sorvino in the Hollywood movie called Replacement Killers for Chow Yun-Fat. Sam and I went and purchased my plane ticket to California, which was an in-transit flight. The itinerary demanded me boarding a plane from the Norman Manley International Airport in Kingston to Miami International Airport. I would then have to disembark and wait in an area for 2 hours in the airport before boarding the next plane, which would then take me to my final destination of LAX, Los Angeles, California. I was properly schooled by Sam in my preparations, but like they say, anything that can go wrong will go wrong. And I had a problem with the immigration officer that was to process me to the waiting area before boarding the plane. She, the immigration officer, requested the passport, looked into it, and in an instant told me that this isn't yours. I told her she's mistaken and that it's indeed mine, and also mentioned how could it not be when it has my picture and my name. While the picture could be replaced, the name couldn't and wasn't a necessity to change. The immigration officer shot back, stating that she knew who did the job on the passport and that I must step out of the line. On hearing this summary, I wanted to suggest that I have $100 in my top pocket, but I never did. I remained calm while quietly following her orders, hoping somehow I would get to board the plane. This never happened, at least for that moment, and I was taken to a room to sit for a while with what looked like some security or police in civilian clothing. While I was in the room waiting, she came and said to me, "Do you hear that? It's your plane taking off." My defiance of the passport subsided into capitulation and know how to salvage from what went wrong. Sam obviously never took care of her and she wanted her cut, money. She told me privately that if I wanted back the passport, that I can contact her at a particular place. I was devastated but knew I have to retrieve the passport in order to get to California. Sam was outside the airport of Norman Manley International, waiting for me and knowing full well what was taking place inside through his links. He tried comforting me by telling me it's not a problem and that he knows her. I had to pay for the retrieval of the book from her, which cost me $6,000, and then have to renew my ticket, which was about $27,000 at the time. We got this done, and this time there was no hitch. Everything went smooth. Even while walking on the tarmac towards the Air Jamaica plane, in the line it felt as if I'm still being escorted by an assistant of Uncle Sam. Sam and I used to reason a lot upon the corner of Young Guns. After leaving his half-betting racer shop in the late evenings, where he would gamble some of his money earned from Up Park Camp, the Jamaica Defense Force, where he worked daily. No, he wasn't enlisted in the military. He was just a civilian who worked in the kitchen department. We were good friends and would meet regularly at the intersection of Lascelles Avenue and Jackson Road, and would reason on various topics whenever possible. A cool shade was always present on the corner in the early evenings whenever he comes from work under this mango tree that produces a bastard species few of us relish. This was our area of conference and everyone else because it's still the Young Guns territory. Whenever the reasoning would veer to topics dealing with international affairs such as America, Sam would always have to mention his favorite quote. "America is the wickedest and the nicest place in the whole world," he used to say. I never knew what this statement really meant until I myself visited the place that reflect in my personal interpretation the exact spirit of the sentence said by Sam. Sam himself at that time has never traveled to America before, yet he sounded like he did. That wasn't a problem. What irked me really is when he said to me one evening in our regular discussions that a black man would become president in America one day. I answered him by saying, "You're crazy, and that such a thing will never happen in a country so rife with racism." He kept insisting that it will happen. Out of my obvious ignorance then, I said to him that it will not happen. Not while him and I was living, not in our lifetime. Sam nevertheless insisted it would happen. I humbled and think about it long and hard, convinced deeply that with God nothing was impossible, and then said to him, if such a thing even happened, that I am sure such a president would be half white, a Uncle Tom or roast breadfruit, meaning black externally but white on the inside. Roast breadfruit is also a local term used for a house or bossy slave. Not surprisingly, Sam says he don't care, there will still be a black man in the White House. Well, Sam did get his chance to go to America and was on the East Coast just after a year while I was there on the West. We never get to link each other while we were both there until hearing the unexpected news that Uncle Sam returned to Egypt, Jamaica, unfortunately, listeners, in a coffin, I am sorry to say. I was told that the cold in New York worsened what was already an illness he was carrying for a very long time and that he eventually succumbed to its effects. The striking thing is that I never heard Sam mentioning of any form of illnesses he was carrying all the years I knew him. Selassie Jah Rastafari. Presidential clone. Sam never lived to see his partial prophecy fulfilled in Barack Abomination Obama occupying the White House. I reflected if it was really this president Uncle Sam foresaw, because not only his president is a clone, but that the clone clown has a first man disguised as his first lady. It was under Barack Abomination Obama, the CEO of the private United States Incorporation Administration, that legalizes same-sex marriages in America. No one should be surprised of him and his Jewish employers Baphomet Illuminati exploits. There is no Michelle Obama in the White House. There is a Michael Devon Robinson alongside Barack Abomination Obama. Sky bursts in the White House that a volcano, lava, brimstone and fire in America. Holy Emmanuel, King Selassie Jah Rastafari. Death to Sodom and Gomorrah. Jah Rastafari. This presidential beast and his Baphomet administration polluted Egypt, Jamaica shores further when they landed on the island, a place their public relations spokesperson in the White House has as the world's most homophobic region on God's earth, due to a militant grassroots of mainly Rastafari who condemns Sodom and Gomorrah vehemently. Jah Rastafari. This prototype presidential queer main priority coming to Jamaica black people was to validate the protection and security to homosexual practitioners by his gay politicians and private sector pirates and elitist clan of scammers working on behalf of their superiors, the Jewish white satanic world. Politicians Richard Azan, PMP, and Roddy Spencer, JLP, celebrated the beast visit quite effeminately when both were shown feeding pastry at PJ Patterson's birthday party at Devon House. Yes. Repeat, politicians Richard Azan, PMP, and Roddy Spencer of the JLP celebrated the beast visit quite effeminately when both were shown feeding pastry to each other on page 9 of the Observer newspaper dated April the 12th, 2015. This was at PJ Patterson's birthday party at Devon House. The following Sunday Observer front page dated April the 19th, 2015 headline said, quote, Obama's gay play. US President expresses concern that island moving too slow in protecting LGBT LGBT community, which means lesbian, gays, bisexual, and transvestite. The placing of wreaths at the Dead War Veterans Monument from World War II who served in the U.S. Army was really an excuse mixed with the alleged chronic outbursts to create misdirection needed in having us not talking about the real issue, which is to burn every single faggot and maggot off of the face of the earth. Marcosai, King Selassie, Jah, Rastafari. The Barack Obama administration, apart from their executive Baphomet lifestyle, he and his white Jewish superiors are also mass murderers in the most extreme degrees. His U.S. administration, repeat, his U.S. administration kills and is still killing as I write more people in the process of hunting so-called terrorists and refers to the loss of lives as collateral damage. Barack Obama, more than any other president of the Luciferian state of America that holds the keys to the Oval Office of the White House, continues to kill innocent people, including women and children, and the dead keeps rising, surpassing those of his already murderous predecessors. Not even his crackhead equivalent George Bush can touch this with an hammer. The American president and his satanic administration must be charged for crimes against humanity and crimes of genocide. Lightning, earthquake, and thunder in the mole of the lamb like beast. Melchizedek fire, burn the Council of Foreign Relations, burn the Council of Trent, burn the Trilateral Commission and the Knights of Malta, Holy Emmanuel I, King Selassie I, Jah, Rastafari, my Lord and Majesty, Prince and Princess. One God for us all, them and those that love Popal Kingdom must fall. Remember that in this last judgment. Taking great pleasure and continue reading from the subtopic Intellectual Prostitutes. Continue reading, my Lord and Majesty. I was given a tape with Vernon Carrington, Prophet God, being interviewed by one of Rome's gatekeeper, Andrea Williams, Kabu Egyptian Green, by a 12 tribe empress member I met while moving around Southern California. Prophet God, who died March 22nd, 2005, had no substance then, just as now, even after hearing the repeated interview on the Illuminati media entity IRI FM program, appropriately called Running African, aired on Sundays at 6 a.m. Vernon Carrington was given a set script, elected by Rome, and when lights, camera, and action is announced, Puffy's gone. A role which will not be unfamiliar to those referred to as journalists and academically known as intellectual prostitutes. Jah Rastafari, the godless Mutabaruka Barakutas, the Jerry Springer Smalls, the Andrea Williams Egyptian Greens, the Orville Careless Ethiopian Higgins, the Barbara Gluedown Israel, and the Jenny Jennies, the Miss Kitties, the Ijablings are all having breakfast in bed with the boogeyman. Bonroom Jah Rastafari. They and many others on local radio are placed there to keep the full truth hidden from you. They are there to tell you you are wrong when you are right, black people, and that you are right when you are wrong, Mystery Dirty Babylon. Their main task is to keep the black race uneducated about your black god and goddess selves, your black continent of Ethiopia, Africa, and about your black trinity and high priest, King Emmanuel VII, the only black Christ in the world, Holy Emmanuel I, King Selassie I, Jah Rastafari. They are placed there to thwart our only development down here in Egypt, Jamaica, which is freedom, redemption, and international repatriation now and now. They are stern disciples that are really Jesuits, bagawires, fellows, faggots, and maggots. They are a hodgepodge of fallen angels, subtly skilled in conditioning the black masses into Satanisms such as Christianity, whoredom, mediocrity, gimmickry, begging, iconoclasm, junkunu, homosexuality, kumina, competition, Egyptology, backbiting, Maroonism, and Nancy stories, Reggae, Islam, politics, and sorcery, all instituted by the Pope of Rome, their Baphomet God. every one of them, including the Richie B's, the Doreen Samuels, the Michael Sharps, the Cliff Hughes, the Ian Bowens, the Simon Crosskills, the Keshima Francises, the Elise Kellys, the Patrick Andersons, the Lady Renees, the Tony Youngs, the Ron Mushettes, the Mike and Mike's First Sticks, the Sean Grants, the Oral Tracies, the Stratton Palmers, the Sunshines, the Earl Baileys, the Alan Magnuses, the Paula Ann Porters, the Winford Williams, all need to be placed on dead ear Jack Rastafari. John Swinton, Chief of Staff for the Council of Foreign Relations, Illuminati-owned New York Times, made a bold confession at the New York Press Club, quote, "There is no such thing at this date of the world's history in America as an independent press. You know it and I know it. There is not one of you who dare to write or say your honest opinions. And if you did, you know beforehand it will never appear in print. I am paid weekly for keeping my honest opinion out of the paper I am connected with. Other of you are paid similar salaries for similar things. And if any of you would be so foolish as to write or say your honest opinions, you would be out on the streets looking for another job. If I allowed my honest opinions to appear in one issue of newspaper, before 24 hours my occupation would be gone. The business of the journalist is to destroy the truth, to lie outright, to pervert, to vilify, to fawn at the feet of mammon, and to sell his country and race for his daily bread. You know it, and what folly is this toasting an independent press? We are the tools and vassals of rich men behind the scenes. We are intellectual prostitutes," end quote, who are doing everything else except organizing black people's instant freedom, redemption, and international repatriation out of this alligator pond of Egypt, Jamaica, this 1st of August. Holy Emmanuel I, King Selassie I, Jah Rastafari. And continue reading from the subtopic, Synagogues of Satan. Revelation 2 verse 9, quote, "I know thy works and tribulation and poverty, but thou art rich." This part of the prophecy is referring to us black people. The other part is referring to those people who wish they were Jews. Repeat, "I know thy works and tribulation and poverty, but thou art rich. And I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not, but are synagogues of Satan. Holy Emmanuel I, Selassie Jah Rastafari." My research revealed that in every organization on the face of earth associated with our enslavement and captivity, 1 in every 2 of the participants directly and indirectly are Jewish white. The other 50% is their surrogate mothers and fathers of Europe and white America, who for centuries endorses each other's nefarious activities conducted on blacks and other people daily across continental lines as I speak. Both sets of people, and especially those of the Orthodox, terrorists, and Baphomet state located in Palestine, are responsible for the caked misuse and distortion of what or who really is a Jew. Cake is a derogatory term for these people. It's spelled K-I-K-E. All this happens by mixing their reptilian blood with ours and polluting our Hebrew principles taught to us the black Israelite original Jews by its founder and patriarch Abraham. God of Abraham praise, who reigns enthroned above pineal gland, ancient of ever-living days and God of love. Jehovah great I am, by earth and Zion confess, I bow and bless thy sacred name forever. Bless King Selassie Jah Rastafari. So-called Jews exist today only because Europeans in the Greeks, Romans, Vandals, Portuguese, and Spanish, way before the forwarding of Yeshua the Christ 2000 BCE, intermarried with black Hebrew Israelites with either white parent and the mulatto offspring, converting and practicing the spirituality of the Hebrew Israelites, who are the original black Jews. This systematic miscegenation, pretension, and scamming of our culture culminated with the Jewish Pharisees and scribes conspiring with the Romans, assisted by Judas suicidal Iscariot, to crucify the Messiah and Christ, the King of the real Jews, who incidentally descended from Abraham's loins, the father of the black Hebrew Israelites, like I say, who are still being persecuted 4 wings of earth now by those claiming to be Jews and are not. Satan Nation, Holy Emmanuel, King Selassie, Jah, Rastafari, Moorish Jews. Continue and reading. After the Roman Empire fell in 470 and 6 AD, being attacked constantly by barbarians, the whole of Europe went into 1,000 years of more ignorance and death that eased only when the Black Moors, who are Jews, originally invaded in 711 AD. These northern African Jews who invaded Europe were remnants of scattered members from the 12 black tribes of Israel and settled in North America. I beg your pardon. Repeat. These northern African Jews who invaded Europe were remnants of scattered members from the 12 black tribes of Israel and settled in North Africa, then converted to Islam after the Arab invasion that conquered northern Africa, including the Sahara Desert. This was between the years of 689 to 709 AD. The Moorish Jews of North Africa could not have invaded Europe, however, without assistance from persecuted black Jews who had to flee to places like Morocco for safety. The persecuted black Jews, who were scholars, priests, traders, etc., planned the 711 AD invasion with inside assistance from Spanish Jews of Spain, who obviously were Jewish white and who doubles as Christians too when it suits them. The invasion by the Moorish Jews into dead Europe resuscitated her somewhat in the conquered regions of Spain and Portugal and parts of France and Italy, while Spain and Portugal was booming with Moorish civilization for over 700 years. The remaining regions and clans untouched by the Mohammedans were of course planning the Arabs' expulsion. The over 700 years of reign in Europe by the Mohammedan Moors brought the sciences and arts that were copied and translated by Pinky and the Brain to not only use in expelling their black civilizers, but worse, to take over the blacks' world of Ethiopia, Africa next. Jah Rastafari. After expelling the Moors in 1492 from their last stronghold in Granada, Spain, King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella, reasons for the wide-scale deportation is that the black Jews were discouraging other Jews from Christian conversions. Portugal under King Manuel promulgated a royal decree in 1494, 2 years after Spain's expulsion. An inquisition in 1547 set up in Portugal by the Papal Rome followed the already ongoing purging of the black Jews from Europe who would not convert to the Pope religion called Christianity. The Inquisition was used as an excuse to sell black Jews into slavery, those who never made it back to black Ethiopia, Africa. After the Inquisition subsided, the Renaissance period came forth, which includes the whitening or bleaching of everything that was originally black to begin with. Jah Rastafari. The European Renaissance and imperialism practiced by the Satanist white world came to life in Berlin, Germany, 1885. This Berlin conference took place 2 years prior to the born date of the Honorable Prophet Marcus Mosiah Garvey, and 7 years His Majesty King Haile Selassie I. Jah Rastafari. Their intentions were clear in dividing and sharing up the whole continent of Ethiopia, Africa, without its black owners having a say. Readers and listeners, do you know that this Heckle and Jekyll team of Usurers, IMF, World Bank and Caesars Exchanges, Wall Street also lend the Ethiopian continent money with interest rates that are unpayable till today, having the breadbasket of the world totally indebted to these banksters and intrigators of Rome, Holy Emmanuel, King Selassie, Jah Jah Rastafari. This killer and Dilla team both masterminded events on earth associated with crimes against humanity, such as ethnic cleansing, human trafficking, terrorism, organ harvesting, assassinations, revolutions, recessions, coup d'etats, world wars, and slavery, etc. The very racist ideology perpetuated by these orthodox fanatics called Zionism, Satanism, fueled the actual terrorist occupation of Arab Palestine by using any means necessary. Only 170,000 Palestinians was allowed to stay, deduced from 800,000 in Israeli-held territory after a mass displacement involved destroying over 350 villages and cities, beginning with terrorism from as early as the 1920s. The various massacres and barbaric acts of the Israelis is recorded in the Jewish Supremacism by Bill Duke. The Jewish-born German fraudster named Mayer Amschel Rothschild, a banking agent of Britain's aristocracy, after the Napoleon War became the richest men in Europe by manipulating the outcome of the war. Napoleon lost at Waterloo against Wellington forces, but with advanced journalism, the Rothschild's agents in the press and media promulgated instead that Napoleon had won, causing the British stock market to fall very far, making way for the Rothschild immediate purchase of all the cheese. This scam made Amschel Rothschild single-handedly the owner of the British economy and made him able to finance 5 more central banks strategically set up across Europe, headed by his 5 Jewish sons. The very finances made from the Ethiopia-Africa slave trade enriched both Europe and America, where their appetite increased for more blood of the saints. Our testimonies and our journeys were copied and plagiarized by these Gentiles so much that in their world, a world where the governments, the banking systems, the judiciaries, and the media reflecting their cause, they are promoted as the chosen race of God. Would you believe it? They may have stolen a few Ethiopian as known as like Israel and Jew, but I'm sure they can call themselves Ethiopians. Hence their God is not one but more like Boy George, a chameleon. Holy Manuelai, Selassie, Jah Rastafari. The fraudulent Federal Banking Reserve System of America was what financed the First World War. These communist Marxists and feudalists created the Russian Revolution too, that had the Bolsheviks murdering the Russian Tsar and his entire family. The go-between of Starsky and Hutch swindled the Swiss reserves out of gold bullion as compensation for their holocaust at the hands of Hitler's Germany in the Second World War, which they themselves also masterminded as well. Hitler sided with the Jewish cause of having their own Jewish state and was already dispatching thousands of cakes unbeknownst to the world. Before and even during the war, Hitler himself was Jewish and chosen by his satanist Nazi elites to ensure the deception of the Jewish Holocaust continues, because that's what it was, a Holocaust. No 6 or 2 million so-called Jews were exterminated in Germany during the World War II. Only 800,000 of them were in camps and 3/4 died from diseases and other illnesses. It's just another Looney Tune episode by Tom and Jerry, who cannot get enough of each other. During their intermissions, they feed each other the abominable snacks, amantastion and craplatch, leaving the coke and popcorn for Gentiles. Selassie, Jah Rastafari. Amantastion and craplatch, black people, are pastries made with fillings eaten on Jewish festivals and holidays, such as Hanukkah and Purim, called Feast of Lots. When Christians are celebrating Easter, the Jewish white world is hunting the firstborn of the black race of God to sacrifice and eat, which obviously is a twisted version of the original Passover, where the Pharaoh Gentile leaders lost all their firstborn as decreed by God through Moses to let us go. Holy Manuelai, King Selassie, Jah Rastafari. Rastafari. Hanukkah is a perversion of the Maccabees' victory over the Seleucids ruler named King Antiochus IV in 163 BCE. Purim, called the Feast of Lots, is also stolen legacy as well, celebrating our victory over thousands of Persians and Prime Minister Haman, including his 10 sons. Haman Taschen are triangle, Illuminati-shaped pastries that are symbolic of the eating of Haman's ear as practiced by these cannibals calling themselves Orthodox, Reform, Conservative Jews. Kreplach are three-sided too like the Haman Taschen, and its fillings contains the chopped up meat symbolic of Haman's flesh. Fire burn every cannibal. King Selassie Jah Rastafari. Continue and reading. These Jewish characters control the worldwide distribution of all genres of music. They own the record companies that every reggae dancehall artist dying to sign with. They own all the major entertainment festivals you can imagine, no matter the genre of music. They own the bus and billboard pop charts, all the news, business, sports, and entertainment magazines you are reading or have read. Whether you are in Los Angeles, Cairo, halfway tree, or even Tokyo, it's all governed by Lucifer Jewish, which I am here to prove, providing your heart and mind is susceptible to truth. The award shows, such as the American Music Awards, the Mobo Awards, the Country Music Awards, the Grammys, even the Soul Train Music Awards, are governed by Beavis and his bedfellow Butthead. They own the BETs, the MTVs, the VH1s, etc. productions and distributions. Majority of the media houses in North, Central, and South America that are used to promote entertainment of any value are owned directly or are operated through subsidiaries of Jewish white media conglomerations in America and Europe, with Comcast perched atop the mega media Babylon pyramid for now. Selassie Jah Rastafari. Yes, Comcast is the #1 mega media company in the world right now. In number 2 position is Walt Disney, yeah. And in number 3 position is the 21st Century Fox. Number 4 is Time Warner. Number 5 is Vivendi. And number 6 is Viacom, in that order. Selassie Jah Rastafari. Continue on reading. The wicked music industry. I have been a Bobo Ashanti from 1999 and I've divided most of that time having 1 foot out of Babylon and 1 foot in a Zion, which by the way is trying to merge 2 opposing spirits. Just to let you know, this is impossible to do. You're either God or you're Satan. You cannot be both. To be wrong and right at the same time is confusion. Hence the proper term for such behavior is Babylon. Says St. Matthew 6 verse 24, quote, "No man can serve 2 masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or else he will hold to the one and despise the other. Ye cannot serve God and mammon, people. Enter ye in at the straight gate, for wide is the gate and broad is the way that leadeth to destruction, and many there be which go in thereat. Because straight is the way which leadeth unto life, and few there be that find it." End quote. When leaving the Bobo camp, which was almost daily working days, reaching studio in time to impress both the already established and conceited stars and producers, I have to go to the gatehouse, where the Royal International Guard is on duty according to protocol. It's common practice to give reverence when arriving or leaving the Bobo Camp Foundation. So yes, uncomfortable moments do arise for me when going out of the camp. Having to face members when leaving the foundation, I am make sure giving some kind of a warning about reggae or something alluded to its involvement. The Sabbath lessons read every Saturday from Exodus 20 and 31 at 10 a.m. in the tabernacle is a very serious reminder too. Specifically Exodus 20 verse 7 that says, quote, "Thou shalt not take the Lord thy God name in vain, For the Lord will not hold those guiltless that taketh his name in vain. End quote. Do you readers know how many persons, I repeat, do you readers as well as listeners know how many persons, especially artists, that are guilty in doing this? Many are guilty in calling the Lord, thy God, Jah Rastafari name in vain. When an artist professes that he is Rastafari and proclaims this profusely in his songs, yet at the same time doesn't keep the Sabbath, he or she is living in vain, and everything that he or she does will be in vain. Word without works is tantamount to death. Holy Emmanuel I, Selassie I, Jah Rastafari. So fear, guilt, and even anxiety of wanting to be free in spirit and doing what's right and not what's wrong haunts me. To declare Emperor Haile Selassie I is the Almighty, and then to pollute the Sabbath of the Almighty can never suffice. Such attitude is already a sign you are establishing yourself as a careless Ethiopian who have lost touch with who you really are and how to maintain it. Something, however, life-changing happens in the year 2010 that unexpectedly reversed all my interests I had for reggae music, where now I am agitating for its total destruction. How did I, priest Richard Crawford, come to this? A once proponent of the genre reggae, who has now morphed into an angel assassin for its dissolution. This change born the very genus of death to reggae, and this all happened after seeing in 2010 a DVD called The Wicked Music Industry, Jah Rastafari. What is noticeable since its release is it's no longer available like it used to be. As a matter of fact, it flooded the streets when it just came out. But consumers can find any amount of Charlene or gangster old or new movies in their collection, but no one can seem to find the Wicked Music Industry. What was mentioned on the Wicked Music Industry DVD, and knowing I lived in America for 4.5 years, worth every second of watching it. What the DVD revealed though wasn't what the media portrayed while I was living in America. I almost never believed what I was seeing and hearing on the DVD regarding Tupac Shakur's death to begin with. There were other interesting things to mention on this DVD, including Michael Jackson's That's It abrupt ending. But first, let me start with Tupac. The DVD shows it's the same organization, Illuminati, that governs the satanic world and helplessly awaits their 1-hour destruction that runs the whole entertainment industry, including Hollywood. The Illuminati governance black people is worldwide, so please wake up. Black people is not only walking on their feet, they are also walking on their brains, said the greatest prophet, John Marcus I, King Selassie I, Jah Rastafari. Tupac Shakur, continue on reading. Tupac Shakur's death when I was in America was promoted as gang related, and Biggie Smalls was a reprisal attack that interestingly happened exactly 6 months after. But the DVD had Tupac Shakur talking, revealing things that caught my attention immediately when hearing him say he will kill Illuminati. He also says in language I can't repeat, but was showing a lot of contempt and scorn for the Pope of Rome, who heads all secret societies globally. Tupac Shakur says that whenever he goes, wherever he goes, people he doesn't even know is giving him money, things, asking him for things, etc. He said he was invited to the famous Quincy Jones house and that Quincy Jones wanted to sodomize him. This is the same Quincy Jones that produces the biggest selling album in America, Thriller, done by his biggest musical prodigy, Michael Jackson. The same Quincy Jones, too, who created Fresh Prince of Bel-Air's success and produces Tevin Campbell's Tomorrow that's here today. The lot of the wicked won't rest upon the righteous unless the righteous put forth their hand unto iniquity. Or, what does it profit a man to gain the whole world and end up losing his soul? Are two statements neither Tupac Shakur, Whitney Houston, or Michael Jackson ever thought about or thought out before signing away their soul to Baphomet. Michael Jackson was so full of showbiz, he never thought his own employers and siblings would get fed up and just say, that's it. In fact, The Wicked Music Industry DVD shows that since the King of Pop went down in silence, he has sold more records dead than when he was alive. This is very interesting, and those who are still living and doing music and is not yet dead must be wondering how come the black singer dies and then his legacy goes back to his producer, record companies, Illuminati, which brings immediately to mind Chris Whitewell's hold onto the legacy of Bob Marley's. In Marley's case, however, Chris Whitewell and Bob Marley's father, Captain Norval Marley, are blood relatives, hence his dominance over his legacy. And take into consideration that he finances the Catch a Fire album where boss Bob Marley internationally. Even Marley's eldest son Ziggy Marley admits having no choice in accepting Jewish dominance and customs. Marrying to Persian Israeli Orly Agai, a former executive of William Morris who garnered brand contracts for Baphomet celebrities such as Latifah, Luis Miguel, the dead Ray Charles, Enrique Iglesias, and Salma Hayek, with Avon, the cosmetic giant. Michael Jackson continuing reading. Michael Jackson, soulless ego got the best of him when he says on the DVD before his many idolaters that he has an album for Sonny and can furnish them basically anything. He says he owns a half of Sonny, the same record company he owns the album, and that the former head of Sonny, Tommy Mottola, is the devil. The Glove Wonder also owns the entire Beatles anthology when his contract was terminated. From as early as 6 years of age, Michael Jackson was brought into the industry via his musician father and handler. They taught the young Michael to make the mark of the beast sign that paraded as an OK sign. This not so OK sign the young Jackson flaunts in those famous promotion pictures with afros are really 360s. There are a plethora of rises and demises this DVD revealed happening in the music industry. How the artists would kill their siblings and label mates for more fame and fortune through a diabolical scheme known as blood sacrifice. Holy Emmanuel Rastafari. The part about blood sacrifices taking place in the music industry jolted me the most. I was astounded by what I was hearing. The other prophets and priests, including priest Edley Samuel, who brought the DVD, were in attendance and were very attentive to what is being said. Kanye West says on the Wicked Music Industry DVD that he signed a deal with the devil and that he sold his soul. In essence, he says, I know I made a crappy deal, at least it came with lots of goodies and a happy meal, end quote. He was saying this live, the footage showed on the DVD. His mother's death is a sacrificial killing and is associated to her own son. Her life and many others like Aaliyah, Biggie Smalls, Whitney Houston, Selena, Heavy D, Old Dirty Bastard, and Lefi Lopez were all sacrifices to Satan. It's a known fact. The practices by the Illuminati secret societies in keeping the uninitiated into their make-believe have been going on a very long time. Many musicians over the years, yard and abroad, were either plain sacrifices themselves or have made sacrifices of others. What's also interesting to know is that it's being practiced all over the corporate world and not just only in the entertainment industry. Psalms 106 verse 37 also tells us, quote, yea, they sacrifice their sons and their daughters unto devils, Baphomet, and they shed innocent blood, even the blood of their sons and of their daughters, whom they sacrificed unto idols of Canaan, and the land was polluted with blood. 1 Corinthians 10 verse 20 says, quote, but I say that the things which the Gentiles sacrifice, they sacrifice to devils and not to God, and I would not that he should have fellowship with devils. Deuteronomy 18 verses 9 to 14 says, when thou art come into the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee, thou shalt not learn to do after the abominations of those nations. There should not be found among you anyone that maketh his son or his daughter to pass through the fire, or that useth divination, or an enchanter, or an observer of time, or an enchanter, or a witch, or a charmer, or a consulter with familiar spirits, or a wizard, or a necromancer. For all that do these things are an abomination unto the Lord, and because of these abominations the Lord, their God, doth drive them out from before thee. Thou shalt be perfect with the Lord thy God. For these nations which thou shalt possess hearken unto observers of times and unto diviners. But as for thee, the Lord thy God hath not suffered thee to do so. Holy Emmanuel, King Selassie, Jah, Rastafari. I want the readers to know that even though the Illuminati governs the world of music and entertainment, no different from how they govern world politics, the world economy, and the world wars, etc. They, however, dealt with things a little different in degrees when it comes to region and culture. The music industry is the same basically everywhere. However, in Egypt, Jamaica, it's not as organized as it is in America, Europe, etc. Nevertheless, the spirit of the Sodomite, Baphomet, pagan god of the entertainment industry pervades wherever its destructive musical scale is used. If you listen the wrong type of music, it will produce the wrong type of people. So the Illuminati uses music and drama, movies, plays to either seduce, condition, or program you like puppets and strings, while at the same time planning, yes, the impossible, your total destruction. Down Sound Records founder Joe Bogdanovich, when being interviewed on Intense about the launch of Sting 2013, flashes his Baphomet sign on television for Egypt, Jamaica to see, telling the viewers it's time to get down. His acolytes, artists, flashes their Baphomet signs as well, when being shown in the entertainment section of the local Observer the said year. Internationally, false leaders of the earth showcase their allegiance to Satan globally for everyone to see. There are images all over the internet showing the Queen of England, Elizabeth II, Barack Abomination Obama, the Clintons, George Bush Jr. and Sr., the Iranian president, and the Dalai Lama, not forgetting the Pope of Rome, and many other heads of state past and present, who occasionally flaunts their Baphomet symbols for all to see. The Baphomet figure is one of the most confusing images you could ever see. First, in its background is an upturned, upside-down, 5-point star, having a figure that is neither man nor woman, but a union of the sexes completed with the head of a goat in what seems like a drag. When the black 5-point star is being inverted, as in this case, it's then called a pentagram, and it's used for sorcery by the secret societies. Jah Rastafari. Black 5-point star, continuing reading. Melchizedek is the owner of the black 5-point star that symbolically represents the black man and the black woman. Each point of the black 5-point star signifies members of your goody. The top point of the star is your head. The points to the sides are your hands, and finally the two bottom points are your feet. Rome is trying to pollute our star by reversing it and more blasphemously placing a goat in drag on its foreground. When the star is being overturned, as in this case, what happens is that both man and woman sexuality gets distorted or amalgamated. It's a diagram symbolizing man, which is God, turning into men, Satan, and woman, who is goddess, turning into women, Satanis. And through popular culture conditions and creates demographically lots of Satan and Satanists that are called fans. It gets more confusing to know that when the star is inverted, your 2 feet is being suspended in the air, aligning themselves with the 2 horns of the goat. Your 2 hands spread sideways is also aligned with the goat's ears, and your head that is so full of blood by being turned down, uniting with the goat's chin. It's a symbol of white being over black and death being over life. In other words, Satan over God, and all the blasphemies the evil white world is trying to use in usurpation of the throne and throne room of the Almighty God, Holy Emmanuel, Selassie, Jah Rastafari. This is why King Emmanuel burned town down red and refer to those Rastas that fly turn down red as federal Rome. Just say it was 15 ounce Rastafari that rise in a Jamaica, and that 14 of them bow back to federal Rome Baphomet, and that only him, King Emmanuel the Black Christ, stand for the right. Just say when a man hold down him head, black people, him blood a go run go down in him head and him a go dead, which is what the image of Baphomet portrays. The Black Christ says the turn down Rasta them a walk in a them blood by flying turn down banners of the green, gold and red, which shows having the red at the bottom is suicidal. The proper order is red, gold and green, red being on the top, just as the rainbow shows every time it's seen. If the banners do not, however, contain the symbols of the R that represent Rastafari, repatriation, redemption and reparation, the lion crown head that represent Ethiopia, Addis Ababa that was never conquered, and the black 5-point star attached to it, it does not represent us, the black kingdom of Christ, despite red being on the top. Many organizations uses the rainbow banners or what look like the rainbow banners, which is inevitable, such as the gay and lesbian communities. But what distinguishes our Melchizedek rainbow covenant emblems from others is the ancient symbols mentioned above being included. Selassie Jah Rastafari. Red in the banners of the Black Congress and government of the Ethiopia Africa Black International Congress represents the black people and the blood of Christ. That's why it's always at the top as a promotion of life and to be protected at all costs as the covenant with our God of Ethiopia, Holy Emmanuel I, Selassie Jah Rastafari. King Emmanuel the Black Christ said Rastafari, His Majesty, stepped down from off his throne to put his imperial title on the feet, only to soon return and recrown under Melchizedek Black Supremacy Sabbatical Order with red atop and the symbols attached. Holy Emmanuel I, Selassie Jah Rastafari. In our universal repatriation, King Selassie Jah Rastafari, which is a must. Jah Rastafari. Our blood is not to be spilled by siblings or anyone in the name of celebrity or affluence. All those who involve in the sacrificing of black people for either their blood or for whatever other reasons, such as coveting a movie role, a TV slot, the Grammy or the Oscar, is an antichrist or a keyless Ethiopian. When you commit such acts, you are no different from the papacy, who heads the Roman Catholic Church that licenses all satanic rituals performed in secret societies globally, including in the major recording companies. The papacy in 2014 of March, however, had to face their sins when their mass murderous fathers of the Vatican were charged by survivors for the many forms of debauchery performed by her Jesuits. The Vampire Circle, continuing reading. The International Tribune into Crimes of Church and State, established in 2010 and located in Brussels, Belgium, has now revealed the past and present ongoing human trafficking and genocide being committed by the Vatican. The Roman Catholic institution is responsible for the ritual rape and sacrifice of children, predominantly black children, from ever her inception. The past and present Pope Francis, the British monarchy and their Queen Elizabeth II, the Archbishop of England Justin Welby, the head of the Jesuits Adolfo Nicola, they and many others, including other heads of government and heads of huge corporations, are members of a cult group called the Ninth Circle, which ritualistically rape, torture, sacrifice, and drink the blood of their victims while eating the remains. This is clear evidence where the blood sacrifice center of operation and hierarchy governing the corporate world, including the entertainment industry globally, comes from. It's a world of Sodom and Gomorrah that is currently out of order due to the wickedness headed by the Vatican and their leader claiming he is the Vicar of Christ. The Vicar of Christ is defined as one who stands in the place of Christ. But no Baphomet beast can stand in the place of the Black Christ. The Black Christ stands alone. All through Galilee, Negus walks alone. All through Galilee, wondrous things have told. King Negus walks upon the sea of Galilee. All through Galilee, Baba Negus walks alone. Holy Emmanuel eyes. Rastafari, my Lord and Majesty, Prince and Princess. Taking great pleasure and continuing reading from the subtopic Sacrificial Club. The Wicked Music Industry DVD said the contracts these artists signed have enshrined in them caveats showing total disregard for God and God's creation and people. So according to the above information, it's safe to say Tupac, Shakur, Michael Jackson, Whitney Houston, and many others broke the code of silence, broke the oath of the contracts that ended up costing them the rest of whatever life they had left. These musical contracts offered to the artists, the signatories are also done in blood, which means they have to pay with their Baphomet lives. They all knew what they were doing and all knew they should honor their demonic contractual agreements. However, in some of these dungeon deals, the artists tend to renege as Tupac Shakur did, and secrets were exposed in a very ghastly industry. In order to control the damage, Tupac was sacrificed by Suge Knight of Death Row Records, making him a member of the $20 million satanic sacrificial club existing in Hollywood. Rastafari. This $20 million sacrificial club list ranges from musicians, pastors, politicians, movie stars, athletes, judges, lawyers, etc., who are already members of other secret societies and lodges making up the corporate world. All, however, desire to be deviously richer than those who manipulate them, such as the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers, those who Rockefellers at the top. Competition breeds hate, and hate breeds death at whatever cost, not excluding sacrificing loved ones, etc., to Satan, Lucifer hears, such as the Baphomet elites that dominates everything commercially, including the entertainment industry. The Satanic Club offers a deal with the devil. Repeat, this Satanic Club offers a deal with the devil, that requires you giving up a soul for sacrifice, and in return will receive $20 million for your treachery. Holy Emmanuel eyes. Rastafari. Important to note is that the assassins are never those who order the sacrifices. The assassins are provided by the Satanic Club after the order has been made for your destruction by someone much closer to you than you think. The Jennifer Hudsons, the Mike Tysons, the Michael Jordans, the Nazis, and the 50 Cents, after making their sacrificial bid, were told to just take the day off and do whatever. Then the club will notify them, telling them when it's done. In the case of Bill Cosby's son, his assassin was portrayed by the Jewish-owned media in America as Mikhail Mokhesev, a Russian immigrant, to try and hide the fact he was really Jewish, an assassin belonging to the biggest organized crime syndicate in the world called the Organizatia. It's a syndicate that's mainly Jewish and white in administration, satanically driven to disrupt the moral code of life's processions. $20 million devils. Louis Farrakhan sacrificed Malcolm X. Reverend Jesse Jackson sacrificed Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. Michael Jordan sacrificed his father. Barack Obama sacrificed his grandmother. Dr. Dre sacrificed his son Nate Dogg. Puff Daddy sacrificed Biggie Smalls. 50 Cent sacrificed Jam Master Jay. KRS-One sacrificed Scott LaRock. Latifah sacrificed her brother. Kanye West sacrificed his mother. Mike Tyson sacrificed his daughter. The William African brothers sacrificed their sister Juanita. Jay-Z sacrificed his nephew. Lil Wayne sacrificed his father and Static Major. T.I. sacrificed his cousin Dollar. Ludacris sacrificed Camouflage. Nicki Minaj sacrificed her cousin. The Game sacrificed Billboard. Alicia Keys sacrificed her friend. Wyclef Jean sacrificed his father. Prince also sacrificed his father. Jamie Foxx sacrificed his grandmother. Eddie Levert sacrificed his son. Charmaine Maxie Maxwell of Brownstone was sacrificed by her producer husband Carson Sosha March the 1st, 2015. Yes. The evil Jewish cannibal world who authors and promotes the ignorance, death and destruction through their movies and music have done the most sacrifices on Earth's first people, black people. For example, our Black Holocaust, and it continues. I deliberately choose to highlight these careless Ethiopians who are following in the footsteps of living dead Anna Nicole Smith, who sacrificed her son, and the faggot Heath Ledger being sacrificed by his maggot Mary Kate Olsen. Death to the evil white world. Death to Satan and all Satanists, Holy Emmanuel eyes. Rastafari. The logical question of blood sacrifices happening in Egypt, Jamaica today is now a valid point. We must investigate, knowing it's our blood being spilled, drunk, and even experimented on. The white world colonization and imperialism in the Caribbean, including Egypt, Jamaica, facilitates the secret society's need of blood to feed the vampire appetite of the princely lodges, catering to their elites in the PSOJ and their political bedfellows in parliament. The seeking of souls anywhere on God's green earth, including Egypt, Jamaica, is a daily job for these devils that keeps running black people's blood as opposed to be running their interests. Oh, they don't get to kill the blood bank collects on behalf of their reptilian elites who shift shapes into creatures whenever their black blood supply is limited. The television nightly shows years after years those missing and still cannot be found due to human trafficking associated with blood sacrifices and organ harvesting. This insatiable appetite for our blood and for our organs by these white cannibals is increasing so much in the black communities anywhere and everywhere that even the Martin Luther King Jr. General Hospital in Los Angeles had to close down. Killer King Hospital is what the blacks in Los Angeles call the medical institution. They say that Killer King is known for deliberately killing patients for their melanated organs. The sentiments of blacks in the Los Angeles Times newspaper obviously caused the hospital inevitable closure. The paper quotes the black community in LA saying, "Anytime an ambulance came, and if it's known they are taking us to Killer King, we won't go." End quote. People with serious injuries would even run away from these ambulances. This greed for our soul parts is practiced as well in the prison industry. Chuck Grant, a politician and Missouri candidate, had a proposal called Life for Life that was offered to prisoners on death row. The deal he proposes is that an inmate will receive a reduced prison sentence by donating one of his organs. Holy Emmanuel eyes. Rastafari. President Idris Deby of Chad in 2007 charged French charity workers for kidnapping 103 Chadian children and accused them of wanting to sell the Chadians to pedophile rings that participated in human sacrifices and organ harvesting in France. I myself was told in the very streets of Egypt, Jamaica, that black people's organs are being sold more than car parts now. If the whole corporate world and the entertainment industry is run on blood sacrifices from before Wappy killed Philip, then persons were sacrificed for the making of local movies, sitcoms, concerts, corporate positions, etc. Why would the rest of the world practice this bloodletting, with Egypt, Jamaica being exempt? Question. It's the most visited island in the Commonwealth and the world. due to the Ethiopian throne room angels exiled there, who today is the ticks in the white men collar prophesied by the Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey. 1 hour destruction now, our repatriation is a must, evil white world. Marcus I, King Selassie I, Jah, Rastafari. So the next logical question is this. Who were the Ethiopian exiles that were sacrificed for harder they come with Jimmy Cliff, who was assassinated for shatters with Sprague Benz, who was eaten alive for One Love with Kimani Marley, who was stabbed to death for Rockers featuring Jacob Miller, who was sodomized and then sacrificed for Sankofa with Muta Baruka, who was gutted for Smile Orange with Carl Bradshaw, who was beaten to pulp and made into creplatch for Better Must Come, whose organs were eaten with Lunatic with Paul Campbell, which black princess's blood was drunk for Dancehall Queen, and whose firstborn was raped, sacrificed and then eaten for Destiny with Christopher Martin. Death to politicians, death to the PSOJ, death to Jampro, death to Egypt, Jamaica, death to Hollywood, Holy Emmanuel I, King Selassie I, Jah, Rastafari. It only took me a few hours after seeing the DVD to sever all ties spiritually and temporally from reggae and anything related with it, not excluding the world. First Epistle of John 2 verse 15 and 16 says, quote, "Love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. If any man love the world, the love of the Father is not in him. For all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh and the lust of the eyes and the pride of life is not of the Father but is of the world." Jehovah, Jah, Rastafari. I and I, the Bobo Ashanti, are not of this world, but of the world to come, which we ourselves have been building ever since being aligned with the Holy Black Trinity. Living in this world, yet not to partake in it, takes great skill, black people, and the tools needed to achieve this exist only in the Melchizedek order. Holy Emmanuel I, Selassie I, Jah, Rastafari, my Lord and Majesty, Prince and Princess. Taking great pleasure continuing reading. The Honorable Priest Edley Samuel, who brought the Wicked Music Industry DVD to the foundation, and I was having a conversation after viewing it. Beg your pardon. The Honorable Priest Edley Samuel says, the young artists them always say them want for boss. Repeat. The Honorable Priest Edley Samuel says, the young artists them always say them want for boss. And that one day them a go boss. But little do they know, it's not the musical charts first get boss, but rather their finger muscle. To bust the charts, you have to get busted by the chart busters, who all got their boss from early Bustamante, one of the first European sent Baphomet producers of buffing youths in Egypt, Jamaica politically. I repeat, one of the first European sent Baphomet producers of busing youths in Egypt, Jamaica politically. Pop and bus are one and the same. Both are alike and carries the Baphomet vein. Bus, as you all know, is used locally, while pop is used internationally. Fire burn Sodom and Gomorrah, burn the crocodile and Baphomet government of Egypt, Jamaica. Lightning burn the music industry and every golden calf that Holy Emmanuel I, Selassie I, Jah, Rastafari. Taking great pleasure continuing reading the Satanic Musical Scale. If you think the DVD revelation was bad enough, people, think again. I have given up this music and was saying to myself, it's about time for my priestly anointment. I was thinking about the office of Melchizedek priesthood so much I could literally feel its power. I beg your pardon. There was no more reggae to concern with, so there wasn't any burden to carry, so to speak. I, however, would like to help the rest of my black Ethiopian family home and abroad to jettison theirs as well. Within the midst of my new glory, someone sent me some information on FB exactly 2 months after I've seen the Wicked Music Industry. The message accompanying the post says, all musicians need to see this. the site named humansarefree.com, and there were various topics being written on of importance that were of interest. The musical scale was what interested me the most, and I immediately took up the offer to see and know what's being said about it. I remember being told by the son of Prince Buster in Marie Kellier's office of Caribella, who I once was employed to when I was in Los Angeles, the definition of music. I asked Prince Ali, what is music, during our conversation, and he replied, music is sound make notes, notes make chords, and chords make music. And I immediately wrote it down as never to forget it, so as never to forget it. It happens this very formulation came forth from the knowledge of musicians employing the musical scale, which is used unfortunately as a silent killer too. Many of you will be in shock at this information, but like the ancient saying goes, the truth hurts, but it's never a sin. It will be more sinful though after learning the magnitude of its scientific destruction. We allow it and its practitioners to pollute not only our present souls, but unforgiving our future ones. King Selassie Jah Rastafari. The information from the humansarefree.com revealed that the past, present, and even future music using this said musical scale is really our enemy and not our friend. I have come to the realization that the artists themselves, plus musicians as well, are all very ignorant of the destruction reggae music brings. This is due to being created from the destructive musical scale implemented by the Illuminati that's used commercially worldwide. The site in effect says in 1913, the Rockefeller Institute financed a project that involves them manipulating the musical scale, specifically the A note. The Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, the Romanovs are few of the founding family members of the Illuminati Baphomet elites that govern Mystery Babylon. According to the article, people, prior to the adjustment of this particular note, it was vibrating at 432 Hertz. Hertz is the unit used in measuring sound. The A note was deliberately adjusted from 432 Hertz to now be vibrating at 440 Hertz, says the article. This, they say, makes the sound produced when played together with other notes is very harmful and injurious to your consciousness pineal gland. This is a given when you put into the mix Prince Ali's explanation to me on what is music. Chords are created by notes being played in combination together from an instrument such as a guitar or a piano, and that every song created you basically use notes out of the 7 making up the musical scale. Amos 6 verse 5 confirms the making of satanic instruments too when it says, quote, that they chant to the sound of the viol and invent to themselves instrument of music like David. 1 Corinthians 14 verse 7 says, which enforces further the importance of listening to the right sounds when it says, quote, and even things without life-giving sound, whether flute or harp, except they give a distinction in the sound, how shall it be known what is piped or harp? Jah Rastafari. Satanic symptoms. Continue on reading, my Lord and Majesty, Prince and Princess. There are 7 notes within the Rockefeller musical scale to choose from when creating chords in making instrumentals, such as the bonanza, pepper seed, or even the darker shade. The same rudiments are applied for a songwriter who composes from instruments universally set to the same Baphomet notations of C, D, E, F, G, A, and B in the musical scale. The article says the mental demolition the produced sound causes from usage of these instruments or listening to the songs they produce is not limited to the artist, but more wickedly, the listener's consciousness is targeted as well. Sounds like a musical malady not even Michigan and Smiley knew about, because if they did, how would you explain them not mentioning it in diseases? This satanic musical notation system reader was never accepted at first until the British started its employment in 1931. It never took long for the rest of the world to contact the virus, where presently the Illuminati have perfected their iniquity unbeknownst to most of us, where the peace and safety is now really sudden destruction. The readers would want, however, empirical evidence on how the destruction to our consciousness occurs by listening or performing reggae, calypso, R&B, rap, blues, jazz, etc. What I am about to explain was already obvious to everyone, however unconsciously, and it occurs even in the dance, yet most still don't consciously realize it. Because of the acute subtleness of disorientation that comes over you, if it wasn't for this explanation, you still wouldn't be convinced, maybe. This symptom is expressed within the context of a dance, or even being at home listening to music while undertaking chores. Your arsenal of music has to be more than one genre for sure, which are all created from the same contaminated law of music. The selector or disc jockey for the event has to have reggae, ska, calypso, soul, disco, and dancehall, etc. The symptom shows when the selector keeps to one genre, for example, reggae, for a period of time before he or she changes the pace to either soul or dancehall. Why is the change to another genre? Is it because the listeners are foreign-minded, or is it because they are bored, disorientated, why they demand a pace change? Why are you bored and become so disorientated? Question. You can imagine if the dance continues till the next day, which usually happens, and there isn't a change of pace. The selectors have to keep changing from genre to genre, and if he doesn't, he would be found in contempt of the dance. Why can't reggae play all day, all night in isolation in a country where it's being created, and why can't the other genres do the same in their country or of origins too without wanting a change of pace? Question. Why does a change of pace is so necessary, readers? Question. It's necessary to change because if the selector already this jockey sticks to one genre, there is no knowing what the listener may do next. You will become so disorientated, and if there is no change, your disorientation may worsen. You will even become nauseous from the continuous stupor the sound brings, and so mentally psychotic that you may even try hurting the selector. Reggae music is Satanism, and it's not the same time the leaf drop off of the tree and drop into the water, it's rotten. It takes time, hence it's the same with reggae. Its destruction is very subtle. Jehovah, Jah, Rastafari. It's not really merely just the words in some cases that's causing the nauseating feeling that come over all of us, but it's the instrumentation made by the instruments created from a demonic concept as obvious in its diabolical intentions. It's the same law of music that makes reggae, makes hip-hop, calypso, R&B, jazz, Colombian, Mexican, country, merengue, zouk, salsa, and punta, etc. So fact is, our consciousness is being attacked daily by the music industry, and we need to stop it. Jah Rastafari. Black people, your behavior is a result of the effect on your pineal gland. Your consciousness, when being disturbed or being attacked by sounds or energies incongruous to your heavenly frequencies. If you notice, the same mental incompatibility repeats itself when the selector changes to another genre and plays for another period of time. The destruction on your mind never stops. So by changing the pace for respite from the already mental and spiritual comatose you're going through, is really repeating the same thing, therefore adding more destruction to your mental health. Death to dancehall, death to reggae, Jah Rastafari. We would like the musical and production wizards of both the local and international recording industry, such as the Grammy Rhythm Twins of Sly Dunbar, Robbie Shakespeare, the reggae Grammy owners in the Ziggy and Stephen Marleys, the Jimmy Cliffs, the Edward Seagas, the Dean Frasers, the Tootsie Berts, the Burning Spears, calling up the Donovan Jermaines, the Beres Fodamans, the Freddie McGregors, the Andel Tuckers, even the R&B and hip-hop producers Kenneth Babyface Edmonds, L.A. Reid, Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. Teddy Riley, Andre Harrell, Marley Marl, DJ Premier, Pete Rock, and Lord Finesse are also requested. Not excluding too the Jeremy Hardins, the Robert Livingstons, the Jammies, the Jack Scorpios, the Judy Mowatts, the Marcia Griffiths, the Dalton Brownies, the Lee Scratch Perrys, the Steelies, the Tyrone Downies, the Earl China Smiths, the Bobby Digitals, the Lindos, the Strikeleys, the Mikey Bennetts, the Courtney Coles, the Babsy Granges, the Lou Goodins, the Dermot Hussies, the Noel Dexters, the Marjorie Wileys, the Douglas Bennetts, the Dave and CD Kellys, including musical schools, Edna Manley, Alpha Boys, etc., to come up and say this is not so. Most of these are the best reggae producers, arrangers, writers, and musicologists available, who have produced catalogs of poison compositions called music. If these most sought after producers cannot make themselves available to the public, either to confirm or deny these musical truths I declared above, it's because they themselves and those who emulate them are drunk by the Baphomet cards they all made or executively produced, and are very discombobulated right now, knowing they have a lot to answer for. Publish and conceal not, because the Lord God Jarastafari gave the word, and great is the company of those that publish it. I, King Selassie Jah Rastafari. Continuing reading the divine Nyabingiada. This will never happen with the heavenly anthem, the royal divine Nyabingiada, when being played, black people. The royal divine Nyabingiada frequencies stimulate and soothe not only our divine chakras, allowing us to acquire states of trance, aiding us in communicating with our celestial selves. Its therapeutic powers are transcendental and influence not only the participators but the listeners, creating an atmosphere of perfect oneness. The royal divine Nyabingiada can play continuously non-stop, bringing life to the righteous and death and destruction to the wicked music industry and its wicked CEOs. The royal divine Nyabingiada must not be confused with Pocomania or Kumina, which is Baphomet. The destruction on the mass of people by the music industry is so subtle, as I say, that only when a generation of reggae singers have died and their entire legacy that is tied up in international markets, which will take another generation to unravel legally with no guarantees, will we notice the seriousness of the damage? Question. No. I can tell you that time is now here already. A generation of artists have died. Do you want more? Do I have to name out all the reggae artists that have died? Spreading what to themselves was Jamaica's music to the world of people, yet having no legacy to show for all that misguided patriotism? Question. There can never be any legacy of reggae, and none of you will have any, because the very entity reggae you think is to supply such inheritance has become your worst nightmare. So you all have to abandon it if you want to live. If you all do not rid it from your soul, you will all be sacrificed by your contemporaries or record companies. So doing reggae is the same as sleeping with the enemy. Reggae brings death to the righteous and life to the wicked, says King Emmanuel VII. Adonia God Jah Rastafari. Fire burn King Nebuchadnezzar and him reggae. Jah Rastafari. Fire burn all Dalitas. Burn Hollywood. Burn Dunsall. Burn all golden calf that a holy Emmanuel I, King Selassie Jah Rastafari. The pineal gland. Continuing reading. Black people, your consciousness is governed by your sixth chakra, also called the third eye or the pineal gland, located in the center of our brain. It's the energy center of intuition, intellect, and reasoning. The pineal gland involves our mental abilities and our psychological skills in evaluating our beliefs and attitudes. This is our seat of consciousness and is the realm of Christ in us. The Black Christ in Matthew 6 verse 22 to 23 mentioned about the pineal gland, quote, "The light of the body is the eye. If therefore thine eye be single, thy whole body shall be full of light. But if thine eye be evil, thy whole body shall be full of darkness. If therefore the light that is in thee be of darkness, how great is that darkness? Jah Rastafari. The pineal gland is basically the archive of the universe in the black man and the black woman despite its nutshell size. And it's responsible for all our visionary experiences of our past, present, and even our future. It's our sacred truth that seeks only the truth. It continually searches for the difference between truth and illusion, the two forces present at every moment. It teaches to trust what you cannot see for more than what you can see. The qualities of your pineal gland also include soul realization, intuition, insight, imagination, clairvoyance, concentration, and the peace of mind as well. Don't be mistaken, black people. Your other 6 chakras has qualities too, but the concentration of destruction we are talking about associated with the music has mainly to do with the grouping of both the 6th note and our 6th chakra pineal gland. There are 7 notes used in making up the destructive musical scale, as I say, and these 7 notes are aligned deliberately with our 7 chakras existing along our spine. All 7 chakras domiciled along our spine vibrates perfectly at the frequencies of the divine Nyabinghiada that comprises of drum instruments played with our 10 strings, which are fingers. Psalms 33 verse 2 quote, "Praise the Lord with the harp, sing unto him with the psaltery," which is psalms, and an instrument of 10 strings. Psalms 92 verse 3 says quote, "Upon an instrument of 10 strings, and upon the psaltery, upon the harp, which are drums with a solemn sound." Revelation 5 verse 8 says quote, "And when he, King Emmanuel VII, had taken the book, the 4 beasts, which are the royal gods, and 24 elders fell down before the Lamb Emmanuel, having every one of them harps, which are the drums, and golden vials full of odors, which are the praise of the saints." Revelation 14 verse 2 says quote, "And I heard from heaven Zion, like the voice of many waters, and like the voice of a great thunder. And I heard the voice of harpers harping with their harps. King Selassie Jah Rastafari." The harps played by Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, the 3 Hebrew black Israelites that were cast into the furnace of Nebuchadnezzar and yet weren't burned, are drums, which are bass, fundi, and kete, and not the triangular shaped string instruments we were taught to believe. After acknowledging that our chakras vibrate at the royal divine Nyabinghiada of frequencies perfectly, the Baphomet musical scale was introduced not only as a clone but more dangerously made to destabilize and destroy us. The synchronization of the A note, which is the 6th note from the musical scale under our pineal gland, causes destruction to our consciousness immediately being exposed to reggae, R&B, hip-hop, calypso, scat, devil, metal, country, western, jazz, blues, etc. When this fallible musical scale is employed, black people, unless it's the royal divine Nyabinghiada, we are allowing the calcification and destruction of our pineal gland to happen. No one can fully experience their full heavenly faculties without the usage of their pineal gland. Intelligence, the Honorable Prophet says, rules the world, black people, and ignorance carries the burden. John Marcosai, King Selassie Jah Rastafari. The evil white world cannot employ their pineal gland as we can ours due to their reptilian nature. It's not that these crackers do not have one, which seems to be the case, but when you exist and your nature does not know what love is, it's because you do not possess a higher nature, which also means you cannot know righteousness nor God. You can only pretend naturally and may master a few art of deception, taught to you by Lucifer, your real idol. The evil white race is the only race that do not carry a higher nature. They are Satan and Satanists in flesh and blood. So it's quite obvious why they would try and block the usage of our pineal gland using other methods also apart from reggae. The vaccines given to us at primary school for smallpox, chickenpox and polio etc. were really to calcify our pineal gland so we can even be more susceptible to what they say they were to prevent. You can enslave us for 300 years the bodies of man. You can shackle the hands of men. You can shackle the feet of man. You can imprison the bodies of man, but you cannot shackle or imprison the minds of man, says our beloved prophet, the right honorable prophet Marcosai King Selassie Jah Rastafari. The war on us, black people, is for our pineal gland, the Christ consciousness in us that relates to our 7 chakra bliss, which is our crown chakra, which unites also both our spiritual, our heaven, and physical, our earth, into one. These abilities makes us the envy of the evil white world. So it's our mind they want to destroy. That's why these so-called arts, musical, are formed and used as your distractions or diversions. Anything to prevent you from doing what's conducive to your nature. To even have the basic understanding of self, that I am a black God in flesh, and accepting it, these infidels will try and stop killing you softly. Artists like Roberta Flack and Lauren Hill is softly killing one another. I must know by now that they and many others are taking the listening and buying public with them into musical perdition. You're all able to seduce the audience via the role model status bestowed upon you, aided to by the media. What the artist must realize is that you're all being set up to fulfill the unsavory side of prophecy. Prophecy proves that the king of Babylon, Nebuchadnezzar, the wicked music industry, manipulates all of you, and at the same time making all of you into golden calves, idolatry. I don't think that's something to be proud of unless you're a Satan in flesh like the whites, who governs what is without doubt a Luciferian industry. All of you though fulfills the book of Daniel 3 verse 3. Quote, then the princes, the governors, politicians and captains, the judges, the treasurers, the counselors, the sheriffs, and all the rulers of the province were gathered together unto the dedication of the image that Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up. And they stood before the image that Nebuchadnezzar had set up. Verse 7 says, quote, therefore at that time, when all the people heard the sound of the cornet, the flute, the harp, sackbut, psaltery, and all kinds of music, all the people, the nations, and the languages fell down and worshipped the golden image that Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up. Fire burn Rome, burn Nebuchadnezzar, burn Romulus and Remus, burn the evil white world and the music industry. King Selassie Jah Rastafari. The destruction is so delicate that not even Bunny Wailer, when told about its damning effects by I on the foundation of the EABIC in 2014, could comprehend. His response to I was that he didn't know nothing about that. End quote. Was Bunny Wailer, who undoubtedly one of reggae's pioneers, telling me the truth? And if he's telling me the truth, wouldn't that be something? Or is it he's so intoxicated, no less like the rest, by fame and fortune derived from something if they do not eradicate will surely consume them all? Isn't it sad to know what Jamaicans mistook as their culture, reggae, is at the same time used as a weapon? If not to totally kill us, it will surely transform us into zombies. Half Pint ascended the foundation of Bubba 2 weeks after Jaboni came, and was in awe being called Full Quart instead by everyone when he arrived. I was sounded for a bottle of ayahuasca by the priest, who welcomed the greetings singer in the front yard of our King David Royal Court. Ordering a bottle of the ayahuasca roots by the singer allowed me the opportunity to culture him regarding our levity, especially about reggae. Not until I started culturing on the debilitating effects of reggae did the strangest thing happen. It was not said by the singer but by someone from his entourage. The singer came in with a few guests and one of them, a Rastaman, shouted out, after hearing my monologue, "Oh, I see why me come here. Oh, I see why them say so much artists are going like madman. Oh, I see." End quote. Surprisingly, there was no response at all from the full court artist. He totally avoids talking about it until the topic changes, which is after my departure. Jah Rastafari. I'm taking great pleasure continuing reading from the chapter Songs of a Lower Nature. Continuing reading. My beloved readers and listeners must know that my condemnation is not limited to just reggae, but to all music governed by the same laws of the musical scale used to compose songs and instrumentals. If the rudiments are the same, the fire can't tame King Selassie Jah Rastafari. Originality is something that is most sought after when creating anything imaginable, don't it? Then why so many original songs, limitless amount of them, repetitiously uses certain words and phrases over and over and over again in their compositions? It's because it's deliberate, that's why. There is an agenda set by these maniacs to have total control of our minds, where they can manipulate you any way they want, even by a microchip implant known as MK Ultra. Words like sacrifice and phrases like die for you, falling in love, take my breath away, and go on my knees, etc. is interspersed not only in the current catalogs, but in songs dating back from the inception of an organized recording industry. This entertainment industry organization had nothing but deception on their minds, going to Haiti for the Hollywood tree. Apart from its wonderful medicinal properties, it was also used in making magic wands by European sorcerers associated with the likes of Merlin the magician. Hence the life-size Hollywood imprint edifice on the Northern Californian hills, known today as the entertainment capital of the world. The movie executives are no different from the recording executives. They all are Jewish and white, who are Freemasons, Illuminati that governs the web of the sea, existing on the silver screen or in vocal recordings. These vocal recordings also doubles are quadrupled for soundtracks in movies, plays, commercials, etc. This level of con is strictly associated with Mystery Babylon that keep the mass in constant confusion, to the point where now there is a Nollywood in Nigeria, Bollywood in India, and Follywood all over the place. All of them are going to burn up with Lagod King Selassie Jah Rastafari. Let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight, O Lord, my strength and my redeemer, Jehovah Jah Rastafari. This verse is the 14th, taken from Psalms 19. It's saying there is a power higher than us, which you are not only to observe, but more importantly to trust and obey. Such power is God, which means good, and the aim and objective is to be just like Him. Exalt the right and is true all wrong. We have to be responsible for our actions, black people, and to be very conscious about the things we utter from our mouths too. Good leaders have to be responsible in all that they do and say. The Emperor of Ethiopia, our Black Kabbalah King of Kings, gives us speech on good leadership, and here is an excerpted part. Quote, "He who would be a leader must pay the price in self-discipline and moral restraint. This entails the correction and improvement of personal character, the checking of passions and desires, and an exemplary control over one's bodily needs and drives. Most High King Selassie Jah Rastafari." The people is God's creation, and He would want His creation to live within the divine principles set for His universe, His place, and ruling from the black shroud of man, made exactly in His own image. However, when the lower nature exists and you're not being taught to identify it, much less conquering it, then man becomes men, Satan, and a woman becomes woman, Satanis. Don't be fooled. There are people amongst us who choose to be Satan and Satanists, careless Ethiopians, and are placed to either eradicate or destabilize the organization and centralization of our black nation, well, government and kingdom. The Black Christ King Emmanuel says, if you're not black, you're white, and if you're not white, you're black. Holy Emmanuel eyes, Asiyai Jah Rastafari. No one can be in existence without the life force of the Almighty, the underlying energy that animates all things, even the very stone. Yes, the very stone has life. The laws of vibration tell you that nothing rests, everything moves, everything vibrates. Everything is made up of atoms, whether it's living or whether it's non-living. In I and I, we have the living breath of the Almighty. In non-living things, they carry what is known as electromagnetic energy, such as the stone, Jah Rastafari. It's obvious, and also, each of these powers that exist on all these levels and realms is just other aspect of the Almighty, Jah Rastafari. It's obvious the Creator deserves His daily praises for allowing us all, both great and small, to be a part of His awesome and natural creation. Yet still, the lower nature in man and woman appeals to idolatry, fornication, lasciviousness, covetousness, carnality, greed, etc. The music industry is driven by all of the above. The various billboards across the world shows the corruption in all forms being disguised as advertisement of the next robotoid sensation, such as a Christina Aguilera, who we found exists no more in her original white cell, but only in other versions of clones. Selassie Jah Rastafari. Taking great pleasure, continue and reading. The Good and Evil Tree. The music industry is synonymous with the tree possessing the knowledge of good and evil, spoken of in the Western Bible, Genesis 2 verse 17. Clearly it states God telling what tree they should eat from and those you should not. But of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, Mystery Babylon, thou shalt not eat of it, for in the day that thou eatest thereof thou shalt surely die, blood sacrifice. The tree possessing the knowledge of good and evil is a Baphomet syllabus taught all over the world in every Mystery Babylon institution. King Emmanuel VII says a child's first teaching is his spirituality. So the Black Christ salvation ranks above everything else, including what's even imaginable. Only the EABIC on the face of the earth today teaches the tree of life, liberty in the order of Melchizedek that can be recounted from the books of the Jan Shoah and Yasha, dating from Ethiopian antiquity. These two books were deleted from the Holy Bible by Rome to have you instead eating from their tree of good and evil, as opposed to the rightful tree, the tree of life. King Emmanuel eyes, Selassie Jah Rastafari. So the tree of good and evil must not be confused with the tree of life, Melchizedek order, because the tree of good and evil philosophy inculcates that when you're wrong, you're right, and when you're right, you're wrong. This is one of the main magic wands the Luciferian Illuminati Rome use in controlling the mass of people worldwide. It's a constant and confusing state of mind under the direct auspices of the Roman Catholic Church via her Jesuits. Mystery Babylon, spoken of in the book of Revelation 17 verse 5 to 6, reveals the symbolism of the Church of Rome as a harlot. Quote, and upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. And I saw a woman drunk in the blood of the saints and with the blood of the martyrs of Jesus. And when I saw her, I wondered with great admiration. King Selassie Jah Rastafari. Since every religion is created by the Pope, no country is impregnable to the proselytism of the Vatican, including the artists from the many demographics worldwide. The artists reach the mass faster than any other famous public figure you can find. The artist in such a greedy and demonized system aims to do better than his predecessors and even his or her contemporaries. He or she ended up doing and saying all sorts of things, even to the point of being blasphemous, all in the name of being current, hot, For all what fame and fortune have to offer, which is nothing but decadence and eventual sure death. Most of them, at such level, never take into consideration they have overstepped their bounds and now entering a path leading to their sure damnation. They have been so deceived they ended up fulfilling the saying on themselves. The greatest deceiver is the one who deceives himself. Jah Rastafari. The destruction again is not only to the artists themselves but also to the mass of people who mirrors their life through these sad entertainers. They are their role models. But the Holy Scripture asks the question to these stars and role models of the Luciferian music industry. Psalms 4 verse 2 says, O ye sons of men, Satan, how long will ye turn my glory into shame? How long will ye love vanity and seek after lacing? Questions. Rastafari. But know that the Lord had set apart him who is godly for himself. The Lord will hear when I call upon him. Holy Emmanuel I, Selassie Jah. Rastafari. Vanity and carnality is both temporal attributes of the lower nature. Guile is also an abomination unto the Lord. If an entertainer deliberately misleads the public, he is in essence turning God's glory into shame, simply because he or she is seen as someone sent by God. If I keep professing that Haile Selassie I is God Almighty, isn't it obvious every time I touch the altar, the congregation will be curious about my fidelity to the faith of which I am professing? I have seen the impact my own performances had on audiences, and I get to see how much power is given me from those experiences. Not only would the audience be singing your songs line for line, but they would also allow themselves to be at your command. On the topic of leadership, His Majesty states, in every significant event in history, you will find a courageous and designed leader, an inspiring goal of objective, and an adversary who sought to total their efforts. Jah Rastafari. The wrong right meditation taught to us in the homes and at schools never let us saw the obvious inconsistencies that were forced upon us. An avalanche of immorality and unethical systems cloak in the knowledge of good and evil. Practice from the highest echelons in society down to the fresh, unconscious recruits seeking the same inferior, higher education that keeps keeping them down, dunce and depraved. This brings to mind my next issue on how they label types of songs. But first, let's clarify love. Love, God, is the greatest force within the universe and must not be confused with anything else. If you know not love, you know not God, for God is love. On love hangs all laws and prophets' commandments of the Black Christ, Holy Emmanuel I, Selassie Jah Rastafari. Love keeps everything in their rightful place, in the earth, in the water, under the earth, and even above the earth. So no one should or can stone love, which in standard doglish means stone God. But God would rather slaughter Billy and make we bust pop, while having Bill Cosby and G fussing over funeral arrangements for the biggest sound clash death ever, known as the sound that stoned God and trying to immortalize it. This scenario shows the continuous and total disregard for God's and God's people again by even the premier Baphomet sound system of the reggae industry. Bon reggae, I say bon reggae, bon dancehall, death to stone love. Holy Emmanuel I, Selassie Jah Rastafari. How is it songs of a carnal nature called love songs are lovers rock, while the militant ones or spiritual ones are called cultural songs? For example, Peter Tosh's You Can't Blame the Youths is a perfect sense of children living what they learn. I know in order for such a song as Tosh's to be labeled as a cultural song, there must be the element of love being depicted and can clearly be seen. I mean, if the lyric teaches something good, which is natural science and common sense, then the lyric's spiritual source must be associated with God that lives in man is manifesto. The songs that are erroneously labeled as lovers rock or love songs in Jamaican parlance are really songs that only love carnality. Let's dissect the topic further and separate the pros from the cons. Romans chapter 7 and 8 tells of the corruption that comes when you live after the flesh. The singers and their employers are promoting a lie that has been in practice too long a while now. The songwriter deliberately confuses the love he has for his woman with the love he should have for the Almighty God. Or is it really that the employee entertainer confuses the love for his employer record company with the love for God? Question. Both the man and the woman is God's creation, so both is individually obligated to their creator first, more than to each other first, don't you think? They both have separate and personal relationship with the maker that lives within them. Both are seeking salvation, and if you didn't know, is a personal thing concerning each individual and God, despite the universal fact that man, which is the priest, is the head of the house, Jah Rastafari. So it's much blasphemy to confuse or mix the two separate and distinct issues, which creates confusion and does a lot of psychological harm to our people. No woman or man can fully save each other without each other personally wanting to be saved themselves, despite the natural fact that the survival of the race is dependent on the union of both sexes. Jah Rastafari. The overall point here is that the God of our salvation that we seek lives within our flesh, and we must not drop to the level of too much flesh respecting for each other, where it contravenes the undivided attention, honor, glory, and reverence due to God our Father, King Alpha and Queen Omega I, Selassie Jah Rastafari. Writing wizardry. Continuing reading. What do song composers who are members of the Wicked Music Industry Writing Guild provide for their latest stars, knowing they are all about controlling the minds of the people? If you are not spiritually inclined readers and even listeners, you won't be able to detect the symbolism esoterically written for only those they claim is in the know. The songs, videos reveal a lot of information on the industry right now. It's so easy to see the demonic plot unfolding before your very eyes or even ears. The various ways of showing the Illuminati all-seeing eye of Horus, which is a mimic of your pineal gland, the pentagram, which is a copy of the black 5-point star, and the pyramids, which is also a copy of the first pyramid, which is man's lotus posture, are very easy to identify and spot, no matter how abstract they may look, whether it's on TV, in newspapers, magazines, billboards, posters, even radio, etc. Selassie Jah Rastafari. Taking great pleasure and continuing reading. For example, the 2015 IRI FM calendar poster, consisting of the Reggae Radio on-air cast, had very significant Luciferian symbols all over it. To begin with, most of the cast members were dressed in white over black, which is white supremacy, and placed directly before all of them was the pentagram, with Ran Mushet and Muta Baruka pointing directly at it while looking into the one-eye camera. You looking at this calendar will see a 5-pointed star at their feet, but to those in the picture they are seeing a pentagram, because the very top point of the star, your head, is at the feet of everyone, suggesting Baphomet Reggae Radio, Fire Bun IRI FM, and their cast crew members in the Lake of Fire that are Wole Emmanuel Eyes, Asiai Jah Rastafari. Singing you don't have to dread to be Rasta, and having locks yourself doesn't compute in the world of Rastafari either. I don't care who you are. Obviously, the Morgans have sold out their heritage locks for commercialism via the colonialism of their mind. The music industry stagnates your consciousness, pineal gland so much. Barrington Levy and Genuine in She's Mine and in those jeans. The song so sweet, she look like something to eat. Sweetest Taboo by the mulatto Sade exudes a subtleness of what's forbidden sexually that not even Joe had compunctions going down the the subway because you want to know. After you are contracted, you then have to journey the road of silk with Rihanna, Azealia Banks, and Nicki Minaj that lick you up and down with old dogs, Shaggy, DMX, and Beanie Man, who is unperturbed on how can he make love to a fella in a rush got into his zimzima. Even the transgressor, Signal, was up and running, shouting him, nah go to jail again, oh no, cause Gary I go bail him out again one more night. But Gary was busy singing My Bad lines of Usher. You're my girl, I'm your man, I'm gonna shout it to the whole wide world. Listen, I'm your girl, you're my man to Michael Jackson, his mentor, who grotesquely beat it so bad with his doggone girl Paul McCartney before excreting all his soul into Quincy Jones' productions of We Are the World and Thriller, making himself speechless forever. Jah Rastafari. Michael Bolton, Sam Smith, and Shane Ward are under oath to leave you breathless like Tupac Shakur, Aaliyah, Biggie Smalls, and Whitney Houston, whose Back to Black recent album would have been white even on its due release date because Bobby Brown, her widower, and Missy Misdemeanor Elliott, each Wu-Tang Clan member, ex-Kelly Buju Banton, Busta Rhymes, Lost Boys, Erykah Badu, India Reese, Supercat, The Brat, Shabarangs, Cool G Rap, and Rayvon sold their souls to these record companies that will take your breath away. Using Tess and Shane and their entity, I'll take you there, revealing the Dragon Secret Hideaway, a dungeon filled with I'll be sure the Barges, Paula Abdul, Gloria Estefan, Jennifer Lopez, Snoop Doggy Dogg, Michael Montano, Sidney Poitier, Earth, Wind and Fire, Jimmy Cliff, Ice Cube, Jermaine Dupri, Janet Jackson, Elephant Men, Grace Jones, Harry Belafonte, Cheryl Lee Ralph, Stephanie Mills, Berry Gordy, and the whole Motown family, making sacrifices to the dead and with the dead of Barry White, Andre Crouch, Nat King Cole, James Brown, Isaac Hayes, Doris Day, Sammy Davis Jr., Percy Sledge, Eazy-E, Otis Redding, and Bob Marley, Holy Emmanuel Eyes, Asiai, Jah Rastafari. My Lord and Majesty, taking great pleasure continuing reading. Will any A&R artist repertoire die for you, die without you like Richie Stevens, Cabra, Kenny Lattimore, Wayne Wonder, Bruno Mars, and PM Dawn did in their songs, or for their lovers, or was it honoring their contractual agreement to Baphomet their handlers? A&Rs are inhuman who grooms you into divas, devils, making your satanic countenances and influence becomes more apparent due to having the ability of raising your lower nature, materialism, carnality over your higher nature, Holy Spirit. You have lost all hopes and regard for your own humanity. By dehumanizing yourself, you have become suicidal and dirty like Sean and Paul from Kingston. Jay-Z, the hip-hop clone, and his living dead sidekick, Rick Ross, thinking wickedly in releasing God Forgives, but he don't, is going to need more than halos from his boss's wife, the MK Ultra-controlled Beyonce, aka Sasha Fierce the Puppet. MC Light precedes Beyonce both in epoch and flow, but was light as a rock compared to her contemporary, the Queen Buck Latifah, who set it off sacrificing her brother in honor of her white Jewish Masons that produces her predecessors Kool Moe Dee, the Sugar Hill Gang, Jungle Brothers, Africa Bambaataa, Fat Boys, and KRS-One, mixed up with a little salt and pepper. They and the whole cast of Self-Destruction has been dancing with the devil, Big Daddy Kane, aka the Prince of Darkness, and the Prince of Bel-Air, aka Fresh Prince and Jazzy Jeff, since the Russell Simmons Def Jam days of Run DMC and LL Cool J, who couldn't live without his radio. Jah Rastafari. Tattoo, Tattoo. Tattoo. Continue on reading. 3 things I want to decimate, and they are the words are termed bad, dog, and how their tattoo stains our culture and spirit. But allow me first to talk about tattoo and burn the crosses we are Chronics. Do the coloring book Vibes Cartel, who uses the line man to man in a ramping shop, and others, that tattoo their skin knows the Bible condemns such thing as wrong? Leviticus 19 verse 28 quote, "Ye shall not make any cuttings in your flesh for the dead, nor print any marks upon you. I am the Lord," end quote. To mar and vandalize the temple of the living God is the same as making sacrifices to the dead black people. Jah said those who hate him love death. Jah, Rastafari. The Honorable Prophet Marcus Messiah Garvey vehemently opposed bleaching in no uncertain terms when he commented, quote, "Black people should see beauty in their own kind and not try to bleach their skin or otherwise look like what we are not." In the days of slavery, miscegenation and race mixture had occurred because the Ethiopian African woman had no protection from the slave master. So there is now no need for black people to themselves freely continually practice that smacks so much as slavery. Marcosai, King Selassie, Jah, Rastafari. Do these permanently blemished people no tattoo hindered free flow of electrical signals transmitting from one section of your temple to the other, and that the ink in the blood disrupts and affects your aura and therefore your overall spirituality? Have you ever seen any public government figure, whether black or white, sporting tattoos? Question. Even if they have any tattoos hidden, it's because they don't want you to know their brand, since it's personal and definitely societal. So stop poisoning off your bloodline and godline, black people. Jah, Rastafari. Chronics. You say you're going to Rome, go start a fire, and within the same song compromises by saying you're not talk geography. If you're not talk geography, then away you attack. Isn't it a worldwide fact Rome exists geographically? That Rome is the capital city of Italy, one of Ethiopia's worst enemy? Our worst enemy? If you now burn Rome geographically, demographically, and spiritually, then the wise thing to do is to shut your mouth. Why do you want to save the Pope? Is that your justification for telling black people their Ethiopian God, Rastafari, is federal, Rome, and that they should left, right, and go do a wrong? May your tongue cleave to the roof of your mouth for preferring wrong X over right. Holy Emmanuel eyes, Asiai, Jah, Rastafari. You, nor the island Mughal, Chris Whitewell, the Pope, nor his Jesuits can stop the 1 hour devastation that is now here and will be having Vatican City burning day and night. Even her memorial is perished with her, exposing the over 50 million missing children bones the Roman Empire was charged for by the International Tribunal of Crimes Against Church and State. There is also a large underground area 68 miles long with stolen artifacts from Ethiopia, Africa, from the Vatican inception, stolen by our Knight Templars incursions into our beloved continent. These artifacts reveals a lot about our very ancient and glorious civilizations, but were suppressed from the public until today on the hunch that Egyptology, which is Satanism, which was created by Rome, is the first civilization of Ethiopia, Africa. Quote, "And they cast dust on their heads and cried, weeping and wailing, saying, Alas, alas, that great city, in which were made rich all that have ships in the sea by reason of costliness. For in 1 hour is she made desolate, and the voice of harpers and musicians and of pipers and trumpeters shall be heard no more at all in thee, and no craftsman of whatever craft shall be found any more in thee, and the sound of a millstone is heard no more at all in thee. Death to Rome, Holy Emmanuel eyes, Asiai, Jah, Rastafari, my Lord and Empress, Prince and Princess, Jah, Rastafari." Taking great pleasure and continuing reading from the subtopic Bad Boys. It was not an accident when the King of Pop did the Bad album, nor was it a mishap. There were other bad boy groups, such as Color Me Bad and Another Bad Creation, formed by New Edition Belle Biv DeVoe Most Illumined member Michael Bivins, the real A&R behind Boys to Men and Bended Knees, from the beginning to the end of the road. The Bad Boy Puff Daddy Incorporation comes to mind too, plus the perennial bad boy culture, formerly called Rude Boy boys in the 60s, 70s, and even up until the 1980s in Egypt, Jamaica. The 1990s into the 2000s, this iconoclastic campaigning on us continues and climax seriously into films such as Bad Boys, featuring Martin Lawrence and Will Fresh Prince Smith. Boys in the Hood, Ice Cube, Cuba Gooding Jr., Friday with Ice Cube and Chris Tucker, Menace to Society with Lawrence Tate, Tyrion Turner, and Shatters with Carlton, Spragga Benz, Grand Kimani, Marley, and Paul Campbell. The Harder They Come with Jimmy Cliff and Rockers are films produced in Egypt, Jamaica by Perry Enzel and Island sorcerer Chris Whitewell. From the 70s, contributed psychological damage as well to our people. All of these films are guilty with filthy blaxploitation and continue to do irreparable harm to black people's psyche in myriad of ways. It's a well-organized and packaged promotion for your idolization and destruction disguised as entertainment. It has everything to do with what appeals to the lower nature and carnality in man and woman, but not what appeals to your higher nature and the ever-living in man. Your spirituality, or Holy Spirit, is infinitely stronger than any carnality the flesh can get tempted into. Ask Job, the Ethiopian, if I'm lying. The Illuminati knows this and thus aim to destroy your autonomous seat of consciousness, the only place in your goodie that can control and even conquer any of Babylon dainties. These Roman dainties only serve the purpose of what's befitting of the flesh and the dead, but they are not conducive to the Holy Spirit and ever-living. Undifferentiated is your Holy Spirit, black people, and everything good or bad from in the womb of your black mother. You were taught, whether directly or indirectly, visually, or even written after you came forth. Even if you claim you don't remember them all, don't you worry. They, however, is not lost, but is recorded and stored in your pineal gland. And over time, you act out these things that were sown into you. As I say, whether if it's of the highest moral standard of liberty and teaching, such as Rastafari, the only true liberty, it is recorded. Likewise, if your conditioning, teaching is to accept what's derogatory and dehumanizing like Mystery Babylon Reggae, don't be surprised in hearing yourself referring to each other as Wagwan Dog. The bad and dog culture is second nature in today's youths worldwide, specifically black youths. This why both words connoting to what is very filthy, as we all can agree, taking into consideration their true definitions. We already know that the dog returned to its own vomit, and that not even the dogs that pissed upon the walls of Babylon shall escape the judgment in this time. We also know the dog, the rat, and the cat were genetically linked by Imhotep and his King Zosa of Kemet, Ethiopia, to clone the filthiest animal ever, the pig, in 2900 BCE. The reason for the dog's inclusion has to do with its naughty by nature dogma of having to defecate and urinate without discretion on other people's property, OPP. The evil white world best friend is the dog, not his woman, because Romulus and Remus, the homosexual brothers that founded the city of Rome, was nursed by wolves' dogs as newborns. There is also a Purina Dog Chow commercial playing locally saying Dog Chow doesn't have to worry because he, the dog, knows he's a part of the family. The book of Revelation 22, however, excommunicated dogs from Ethiopia, Africa, which is interpreted to mean both in the literal and the symbolic forms. I do not have to tell you other things you already know about what the literal dog and the symbolic dog do because of their quadruple minds they possess, other than to say you must get the picture. 2 school youths in Mandeville came up to me buying Vibes Cartel pins. This was way before I stopped selling artist pins, and greeted me carnivorously, Wagwan Dog. I responded saying, do I look like a dog, to the one that said it. They looked like third farmers, but was very surprised at my answer. I also told them I would rather refer to me as a lion but not as a dog. My correction to them seemed just a moment of only distraction because they wanted to see what I had on my sheet filled with medals. The glory of Ethiopia and their incomparable black trinity emblazoned one side of the sheep, which hung from around my neck all the way down to my knees. The other side of the sheep had the members of the recording industry, including the two juvenile idols and dogs, Vibes Cartel and Movado. In every sentence coming from the two youths while purchasing their dogs until they left, the word dog and bad was the most used. They were very loathsome towards each other's idol dogs, Movado and Vibes Cartel openly, while at the same time being very defiant of each other, despite both of them traveling together. The event with the two school youths and many more bring a serious situation that annulled the selling of these artists permanently in 2008. It had to do with the rivalry between the same Vibes Tattoo Cartel and Movado, who sings in bow but in the string open pray. I was in demand with these spins, medals, especially the artists, and fulfill expectations of my various clients until the contemptible happens. They were separate, promoted pictures of both Vibes Cartel and Movado in circulation, having each of them holding each other's decapitated heads dripping with blood in their hands. One of my clients told me I need to make these because this is what the people am asked for. I saw the money there, you know why I make money, Rasta? He would say. I told him I, Priest Simon, who was a prophet then, won't do it and can't do it. Bonded, Jah Rastafari. Continue reading from the subtopic bad word. Now, in the regular English lexicon, the word bad is defined as 1. Not good, 2. Spoiled, 3. Incorrect, 4. Wicked. These definitions sounds like the devil and in dog in deep blue details, taking into consideration that English carries the spirit of its makers, the true dogs and bitches that founded Rome, and that they are just as deceptive as their very tool of communication. The doglish dialect is used to deceive us black people and the rest of the world in general deliberately, because in the Random House American College Dictionary, not only the superficial meaning of bad was given, but more importantly its root meaning, which is feminish male, homosexual. This should not surprise anyone that's black worldwide, because it's written in our genetics, anything bad for dash, don't it? We grew up hearing this, so it should be very easy to destroy such a word, which by doing will nullify any of its manifestations. Jah Rastafari. The Honorable Prophet Marcus Mosiah Garvey, after hearing Winston Churchill saying it will take thousands of years to get out of us black people what he and colonialism has put into us, but the Prophet disapproved, responding, quote, what he never put into us have to come out in an instant. John Marcus I, King Selassie I, Jah Rastafari. Bad is associated with the devil easily, while good is associated with God. So when parents or elders habitually refer to a youth they think is a troublemaker, which in most cases the youth problem stems from being hungry or even homeless, when you, the parent or neighbor, label them as a bad boy or bad girl, in essence you are sowing the spirit of the real meaning into him or her, which gradually will become flesh, acting out the spirit or root of its real definition. Stop it, black people, and stop it now. Jah Rastafari. I know that Sizzla Kalonji wasn't being facetious in telling me once him are the only bubble with a bad. This is after paying him an Earth Day visit in August town and presenting to him some table landscape plaques, guidances displaying the members of our Ethiopian Royal Black Trinity. I also thanked him for the numerous books he donated to the Congress. But was it just plain ignorance on his part when he said what he said, knowing no one is immune to the mind-controlling demons Reggae have to offer? Even Sizzla, who is also a very major key player in an industry that eminently as we speak is suffering an implosion due to the percentage of artists and musicians dying annually being associated with it. Every member of the Bobo Ashanti Melchizedek order knows no such thing as a bad Bobo exists. And to further hear the Honorable sing on the second line of your chorus, bad man don't apologize to no bottom boy can create confusion, my lord. Wouldn't I agree, knowing we all now know the real definition of the bad word? Holy Emmanuel I, Selassie I, Jah, Rastafari. Many years ago, you said you come to kill reggae, my lord. Well, now is the time, king. Now is the time to not only kill reggae, but also its parent company, Mr. Babylon, headed by the Vatican in Italy, the White House in Washington, D.C., and the Douglas monarchy in England, whose governments and major corporations globally through the Council of Foreign Relations and their secret societies collectively are the true enemies of Ethiopia, Africa, and their saints abroad, who wants our repatriation internationally. Now and now, Jah Rastafari. All those who claim say them come to kill reggae, but instead assist in its course in killing their own black people. I'm gonna ask, how can any of you be of real effect in its total destruction without first extricating yourself, purge and build into a brand new creation, where you will then have unlimited power existing both in heaven and in earth to slew it from without? No reggae artist can kill the scourge known as reggae by being the face of reggae. The Black Child Productions on YouTube, who reveals a lot on the industry, once quote, if you're planning on entering the music industry, make sure to kill yourself first, because the industry will still put a fork in you. Jah Rastafari. Same-sex collabs. Continue on reading. Did Lukie D, Sikatro Alcock, and the many others know that John Legend was singing to men in all of me and not to or about a woman? Question. Can a man be underwater not drowning unless he is a fish? Question. The dead faggot Luther Vandross was guilty of a similar thing when he renditions Roberta Flack's Killing Me Softly without changing his to her, connoting he was a queer. Vandross danced so much with his father till he eventually paired up with another dead queer called Gregory Hines in There's Nothing Better Than Love. Eldibaj, who has a very high vocal register. At times you think it's a woman singing when hearing him. Him not being a woman, who we all know is one octave higher than a man, still cannot produce estrogen in the amount a woman does, where he can justify substituting himself for one. Instead of either him or his collaborator allowing a woman to sing one part of such strong melodies and lyrics have come to me, they choose to use both themselves. They opted rather for extra masculinity to the point of raising serious concerns. Someone of similar testosterone level as Eldibard singing a song together with Peebo Bryson must raise hormone levels associated with curiosity. Based on the range of emotions being expressed vocally, showcasing so much affection, romance and lusting in these same-sex collaborations, unearth the obvious fact that they are all involved in sodomy, the rituals of Baphomet and the entertainment industry. This explains the bagger mentality of barring women too from their secret society fellowships. If the reader or listener, I repeat, if the reader our listener is still in doubt to whom these men are really singing to, I would like to ask, wouldn't such a highly emotionally charged duet be done with a woman, someone more appropriate and complimentary, knowing that sexual innuendos and courting are used in the lyrics being sung? Question. Peebo Bryson and Eldibard, John Legend and Buju Banton, Maxi Priest and Shabarangs, Shaggy and Neo, Vegas and Magic are all bad men. Jah Rastafari. Because of the strict patriarchy existing from the top to bottom of of the music industry tree of good and evil, a system of governance that uses the weak offering to the woman to front as wives publicly, while at the same time are members of men-only secret societies and princely lodges. The women of these men pleasers are members too of their own societies called the Eastern Star. These women do not mind sharing responsibility for the humongous deception used on the people. All this, however, is promoted virally and otherwise as the ladder of success in the style outlook section of the Observer and Gleaner for you to idolize by the Illuminati Baphomet media and press. Jah Rastafari. Jimmy Cliff sang about the hidden hands that govern world operations superficially and never reveal who they are actually. Did Jimmy Cliff reveal, however, to anyone what took place when he visited King Emmanuel VII Foundation before touring Africa? He asked the Black Christ what word him should bring to the people of Africa when he arrived there. King Emmanuel the Black Christ's response was, quote, "My Lord, when you reach in Ethiopia, Africa, you must tell the people they must do everything within them power not to let reggae come in there. Jah Rastafari. Carnal mind have to stay behind. Can't go to Zion with no carnal mind. So Ethiopian walk in a narrow way. Ethiopian walk in a narrow way. Black Ethiopian walk in a narrow way. Narrow ways to watch and pray. Jah no one no carnal mind. Fire burn hold down Holy Emmanuel eyes. That's the Jah Rastafari. Taking great pleasure continuing reading. I am reading from the chapter of my anointment. And I am reading from the subtopic Psalms 110. Psalms 110, written by King David, sums up the magnitude of power, being possessor of the highest office in the universe, the Melchizedek order. King David was king only and not king and priest simultaneously as Melchizedek himself and those who were anointed after his said order as I and I, the Bobo Ashanti, Jah Rastafari. King David, however, still recognizes the perfected priesthood order of Melchizedek, his own bloodline of kings and priests enthroned in Ethiopia, while he was supreme leader in Jerusalem, Old Jerusalem. Jerusalem was founded by King David's ancestor, Melchizedek Jerah, who sent his son Ethel to the land of Ayop, Ayop means gold, to settle and became the father of the Ethiopians. Ethel was told by God to replace El with Ayop to his name. Hence, to this day, Ethiopia bears the name of one of Melchizedek's sons. Before quoting Psalms 110 though, I would love to show some startling facts regarding the lineage of Melchizedek, which was deliberately deleted from the Bible. The Hidden and Untold History of the Jewish People and the Ethiopians, Volume 1, by an Ethiopian named Fikret Talasso, PhD. Although written with the intention of continually robbing, raping, and distortion of our history by Jewish Jesuits who gave Fikret Talasso his university degree, nevertheless is based from the tree of good and evil. I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not, but are synagogues of Satan. Revelation 2 verse 9. Talasso, not differentiating the Orthodox rabbinical blood drinkers and organ harvesters now occupying the land of Abimelech, Melchizedek, third son, and calling themselves Jews, from us, the black Hebrew Israelites scattered at home, Ethiopia, Africa, and abroad, is a direct attempt to make we and these weevils one bloodline. Lightning strike and burn up Tel Aviv and all Rabbi Holy Emmanuel Selassie Jah Rastafari. To give his book substance though, he however revealed what was hidden from most Ethiopians in Ethiopia and the rest of Africa, including the wider world. These information were extracted from the Ethiopian books of Vision Shoah, which means Book of the War of the Lord, and the Book of Yasha, which means Book of the Great Army of God, which reveals Melchizedek's priesthood office officially first used with Jerah, whose kingly and priestly name was Melchizedek, meaning righteous king or even king of righteousness. Noah begat Ham. Ham begat Cush, who begat Sheba. Sheba begat Nuba the high priest, who begat Ghana. Ghana begat Ethan, who begat Nimrod. Nimrod then begat Adama, who begat Raphael. Raphael begat Cana, the father of Jerah, making it 10 generations in all between Noah and Cana, the father of Melchizedek Jerah, a direct descendant of Noah, by virtue of Ham's line and not Japheth's, nor Shem's line, which was Abraham's. Jerah, Melchizedek's forefathers occupied both royal and priestly offices as he did. God revealed to his father Cana and his father-in-law in a vision that Jerah shall be called Melchizedek. Psalms 110 verse 4. Bearing this in mind, Cana sanctified him and trained him in a special manner to take the office of priesthood and kingship. Thereafter he crowned him, passed on his wealth to him, paid him tithes and prostrate before him despite the fact he was his son. He also prophesied that other kings would follow in his footsteps and prostrate to him, seeking his blessings. Thus, Melchizedek became a great priest and king highly revered by other kings who reigned in Canaan. Later they paid him tithes and he blessed them in return. Recognizing the kingship and priesthood of Melchizedek, even Abraham, who was neither a king nor a priest then, did the same. Holy Emmanuel Rastafari. Psalms 110. Continue on reading. The Lord said unto my Lord, sit thou at my right hand until I make thine enemies thy footstool. The Lord shall send the rod of thy strength out of Zion, rule thou in the midst of thine enemies. Thy people shall be willing in the day of thy power, in the beauties of holiness, from the womb of the morning. Thou hast the dew of thy youth. The Lord hath sworn and will not repent. Thou art a priest forever, after the order of Melchizedek. The Lord at thy right hand shall strike through kings in the day of his wrath. He shall judge among the heathens. He shall fill the places with the dead bodies. He shall wound the heads over many countries. He shall drink of the brook in the way. Therefore shall he lift up the head. Kwega Jarastafari Sila King Selassie Jah Rastafari, my Lord and Majesty, Prince and Princess. To be read and continued, my Lord and Majesty. Imhotep. Continue on reading. Why does the Illuminati uses the pyramids as their symbol, as is shown on the US dollar bill, black people? The pyramids located in northern Ethiopia, Kemet, a place Rome is trying to rename, calling it Egypt, which means bondage or slavery, are not what we were taught they were really. First and foremost, King Emmanuel VII teaches you cannot be a slave in your own country. Hence, there is no Egypt anywhere in Ethiopia, Africa. Yes, the only Egypt is where the saints are in captivity, such as us in Egypt, Jamaica, Egypt, Haiti, Egypt, Trinidad, Egypt, Barbados, etc., and the blacks in Europe and the rest of the Western world. Hence, Father Moses himself come forward again as Melchizedek to redeem his people from the claws of the modern Egyptian pharaohs and Goliaths, who has us in bondage still to this day. Greater than Imhotep is here. Greater than Nimrod is here. Greater than Solomon is here. Holy Emmanuel, King Selassie Jah Rastafari. The great physician now is near. The sympathizing Negus, he speaks to drooping heart to cheer. Oh, hear the voice of Negus, sweetest note in Sarah's song, sweetest name on mortal tongue, sweetest carol ever sung. Negus, blessed Negus, King Emmanuel Selassie Jah Rastafari. Black people, apart from Imhotep's pyramid building expertise and medicinal knowledge up to him being deified. We must add to those accolades of his that he was a mortician and magician too. Garlic is forbidden in the Bobo Ashanti Universal Kitchen due to being engineered by Imhotep for embalming the dead pharaohs placed in burial chambers of these stone monoliths called pyramids. This embalming poultice was made of garlic, frankincense, honey, etc. The garlic would kill the bacteria that naturally breed from the dead and decomposing body of Ida and Akhenaten or King Zoser who reigned at the time of Imhotep. The priest, who incidentally was also of Imhotep's statute, performed the rituals called the rites of passage for the dead kings. Pyramids Truth Gateway Universe by Reg T. Miller. These ceremonies were to try and aid the dead pharaoh and servants who in most cases willfully took poisons created by priest Imhotep and died to receive the afterlife, Satanism. Afterlife must not be confused with the life after. Let me repeat. Afterlife must not be confused with the life after mentioned by His Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie I, Jah Rastafari. As in the case of King Zoser, who thought drinking the poison potion made by Imhotep to have a painless death would also make his dead civilization brighten up by placing his corpse in the step pyramid built by his mortician priest at Saqqara, northern Ethiopia. No such thing. The pyramids, black people, they claim to be earthquake proof and marketed to the world as one of the great wonders, were made from solid granite stones with some as heavy as from 25 to 80 tons for those especially in the king's chamber. Well, the people of the world should know next time planning and visiting them, you should know you're visiting a graveyard with huge graven images called Pyramid, Sphinx, the Valley of the Kings, etc. Melchizedek priests no go a cemetery, nor graveyard, we no bury dead. The saints of the Most High no praise wood nor stone, so the elects of the Black Christ can be deceived by the tourism scheme used by Rome, highlighting a dead philosophy and mummified wrong right science called Egyptology. Jah Rastafari. The pyramid was used by the Luciferians simply because it represents nothing else than just death. They are exalted by Egyptologists, Jesuits, because they are just ancient tombs made from the doctrine of Mystery Babylon, not dissimilar to Nimrod, the builder of the Tower of Babel, which eventually was destroyed by God. Both the Tower of Babel, Babylon, and the pyramids become nondescript due to Nimrod and Imhotep overstepping their natural bounds of creation. Importantly to mention is that the pyramid mimic man's lotus posture, hence its status worldwide. Man's lotus posture is the structure that the Illuminati use in governing the 9 aspects of the people's lives worldwide. These vampires at the top of the pyramid scheme suck the blood of those below literally, who unfortunately is also the very base and breadbasket for the over 13 banking families that manipulates global affairs. Rome must be destroyed. Jah Rastafari. The lotus position is used for meditation and of enlightenment within self that leads one personally through the pearly gates of eternity. This the evil white world do not have and cannot even conceive of, but tried to duplicate using some of the dunces fallen angels theories such as Imhotep and Nimrod, etc., to assist them in its impossibility. No eternal life can exist without life first being in your flesh, black people, which enables you to worship the said life and the mighty life giver, the Black Christ in flesh, who sent come and stand with his Melchizedek righteous kingdom to redeem us. So your knowledge could be as old as the pyramids of Giza or even older. Once its liturgy is of an external nature like Christianity, and interestingly too, those referring to themselves as Anunnakis, Modern stargazers with black features traveling the universe externally as opposed to internally. It's a regurgitation of the same Satanism the Black Christ says won't lead you to him, God, but rather to 6'6" death. So you could have black skin, little more like Ida, Nimrod, or Imhotep. Or you could have white like the Pope and his Dean of Egyptologists. You cannot escape an Egyptian funeral, for sure conducted by Egyptian prophets and priests. Who knows? Depending on your geographical location, you could be buried in Egypt, Jamaica as well. John, Marcosai, King Selassie, Jah, Rastafari. There are over 100 pyramids in China alone that Byron Lee and the Dragonaires hid from the world by covering them up with soil and planting pine trees on them. This shows the universe and earth are rightfully ours because these graven images were made by educationally colonized Africans and not by anyone else. Emperor Essigesi, who was Emperor of Ethiopia and preceded Queen of Sheba, was renamed by God Agiel over 3,000 years ago. Emperor Essigesi, whom King David's father Jesse was named after, conquered Asia also with a 1,000,000-man army armed with state-of-the-art weapon of that time and appointed kings for different regions and called that area of the world Asia. There are pyramids in Europe, America, and Japan as well that shows how long black people have been around and knew to build such unduplicated structure, albeit one used for the dead. Not even the evil white world technology can fathom its specifics and configuration, which according to their dead standard isn't surprising. Making these structures and using them, however, to seek life after you have died is presumptuousness of the lowest order and clearly satanic, as I say. It's an older form of religion known as paganism, one of the Pope's 9 weapons of mass destruction on the people. Quote, and when shall say, seek unto them that have familiar spirits, unto wizards they peep that mutter. Should not a people seek unto their God? Question. Why seek ye the living among the dead? Holy Emmanuel eyes, Asiai, Jah, Rastafari. And taking great pleasure and continuing reading from Death to Reggae. Reading from the subtopic of Lucifer 9:11. It was Lucifer who made war with Melchizedek in our black heaven, Ethiopia, Africa, and was cast out into the western world, black people. Before he was cast out of Zion, Ethiopia, he deceived the 1/3 of the black race into idolatry, the underpinning of mystery Babylon, Nimrod, and the entire pagan religions practiced to this day, including Egyptology, Christianity, Islam, Jewish Judaism, Pocomania, Comina, etc. The Luciferian kingdom from Babel, Babylon, Iraq, moved to Europe and transformed into what is known today as the papacy, the Vatican. The sun god and the sun worshipping that will be made into law is a Luciferian doctrine of destruction associated with the New World Order. Blood sacrifice is integral to these Luciferian rituals and practices taking place in many secret locations all over the world. The New World Order Illuminati building erected from the stage Destruction of the World Trade Center located in Manhattan, New York, was accomplished sacrificing over 3,000 people. Each firefighter was wearing the 8-pointed star of Ishtar, associated with the goddess Semiramis of ancient Babylon. Semiramis was the mother and lover of Nimrod, the builder of Babel, Babylon. The new One World Illuminati building cost US $3.9 billion, took 13 years to complete, and opened the 3rd of November 2014. This only happened after the planned implosion of the Twin Towers, 11th of September 2001, under the guise terrorism is the real threat. This new building is 1,776 feet in height and is the tallest in the Western Hemisphere. Clandestinely, it's the central command and surveillance center of all all microchip implanted people who bow already and those who will to idolatry, despite Psalms 95 verse 5 reminding, quote, all the gods, religion of the nations are just idols, for the Lord Melchizedek made the heavens, end quote. The 9/11 demolition was planned by the Luciferian elites, black people, but a reason to commit the act was necessary for their demonic plan to unfold. The World Conference Against Racism in Durban, South Africa 2001 had both American and Israeli officials storming out of the assembly over deliberation regarding reparations overdue to us, the Ethiopian Africans at home and abroad. They, the white world, are responsible for our legal return, but instead are planning now our continuous enslavement of Melchizedek people on a modern level. They as much want us to remain here in the West so they could continue use, sacrifice and even eat us. Hence why the reasoning was disrupted. Of the workers of iniquity no knowledge question, who eat up my people as they eat bread and call not upon the Lord. They were they in great fear, for God is in the generation of the righteous. Ye have shamed the counsel of the poor, because the Lord is his refuge. Oh, that the salvation of Israel will come out of Zion. When the Lord bringeth back the captivity of his people, Jacob shall rejoice and Israel shall be glad. Holy Emmanuel eyes, Asiyai Jah, Rastafari. The conference in Durban was held at the Durban International Convention Center in Durban, South Africa, under the auspices of the United Nations, August the 31st to September the 8th. The conference dealt with several controversial issues, including compensation for black people, Holocaust, and action of Israel and their Israelis. Israelis and American delegation withdrew from the conference over objections to a draft document equating their Satanism with racism. America, the pinky, and Israel, the brain, annulled everything that took place at the Durban conference when they withdrew on the 7th of September, and in 3 days' time destroys the Twin Towers, declaring terrorism is now everyone's concern, thereby dictating who is not with us, Illuminati is against us, spoken by the pedophiliac George Bush. This was the perfect diversion and threat in not accepting responsibility of addressing black people human rights issues. Bin Laden was a huge part of the conspiracy, parading as this rocket leader and claiming responsibility for the 9/11 attack was to deceive the world into believing that Bobo Ashanti, the only true nemesis of Illuminati Rome, is the enemy. Hence the persecution on us, the true Sabbath keepers, as mentioned in the book of Revelation 17 verse 14, quote, these Illuminati shall make war with the Lamb, Melchizedek, and the Lamb shall overcome them, for he is the Lord of lords and the King of kings, and they that are with him are called and chosen and faithful. I, Asiyai Jah, Rastafari. The escalation of Muslim extremism and jihad fervor since 9/11 was done to get religious fanatics fighting so the real Illuminati terrorists can monitor what's left over when the dust settles. After all, even fake wars carry casualties. The enslavement of the world of people by force can only take effect when their satanic order is invoked, and just as how we take a reason to bomb the Twin Towers, it will take other destructions of catastrophic levels created by the Luciferians to have their one world devil order in place, such as another world war. The worldwide mayhem and civil unrest taking place are all by design, said the Freemason and former President FDR. Franklin D. Roosevelt said, quote, in politics, nothing happens by accident. If it happens, you can bet it was planned that way, end quote. Knowing that politics dictates every facets of society, it's safe to say on all levels, in Mystery Babylon, everything is fixed. Jah Rastafari. Titanic, continue on reading. If the sinking of the Titanic 1912 wasn't planned by the Jesuits, there wouldn't have been a Federal Reserve Bank the following year, 1913, privately owned by the Illuminati Roman banking families coming over from Europe. These banksters and agents of the papacy of Rome, notably the Rothschilds, J.P. Morgans, and the Rockefellers, aimed to destroy America's constitutional liberty and vowed to make the Pope supreme ruler of the world. It was these banksters who financed the building of the unsinkable floating palace called the Titanic. Edward Smith, the captain of the Titanic, was instructed to sink the ship and kill all those deliberately lured to take the trip. There were a number of rich and powerful men who made it abundantly clear they were not in favor of the Federal Reserve System of America. All the wealthy and powerful men the Jesuits wanted to get rid of were invited, as I say, to take the trip of their lives. Three of the richest, Benjamin Guggenheim, Isidore Strass, the head of Macy's stores, and John Jacob Astor, the wealthiest man in the world at that time, were all worth using dollar value of their day more than 500 million. These three men were cajoled to board the Titanic. The Jesuits knew these three men would use their affluence and influence to oppose the Federal Reserve Bank and told Edward Smith, who served the Vatican in the role of a Jesuit captain, to sink the ship. The Secret Terrorists by Bill Hughes. Whether you're in America or Jamaica, your constitutional rights protected by the United Nations Universal Human Rights Charter will become null and void soon. The Constitution's amendments allow for changes within the federal government whenever something fake as terrorism threatens national security. The U.S. administration can and will put into effect martial law or ultimately the New World Order, just as the federal government sees it fit to do so. A few more fake disasters, such as an Ebola epidemic, will assist their demonic plan going into action, causing every single person to be quarantined, which means your constitutional rights, even those given by God, will be stripped from you under the excuse that whatever outbreak there is, it's terrorist related. You will be made into guinea pigs or either robots, basically, because their plan is to govern everyone worldwide with Lucifer the Pope. This Luciferian governance is totally opposite to how the God of Ethiopia does, where we are born free and equal and have a right to our Ethiopian nationality, whether at home in Ethiopia, Africa, or down here in Egypt. El Jah Rastafari. Now, Gentiles. Now the real question is, how these Johnny come about lately? A total deviation from natural creation is running things worldwide, while Earth rightful rulers, black people, is being ill-treated, abused, and enslaved by them. Question. This has to stop, whether by earthquake, lightning, or thunder, and fire, or by I black hands and are joining together. The evil white world Illuminati government that is steered by Lucifer is as fake as their puppet master, the formerly bright and morning star, who has fallen long time ago, where everyone now walks on his face and consorts. That dirt is the Hollywood Boulevard Walk of Fame. Jah Rastafari, my Lord and Majesty. Taking great pleasure and continuing reading. The Right Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey says, any leadership that teaches you to depend upon another race is a leadership that will enslave you. The race that leads is always the masters, while the race that is led will always remain a race of slaves. They have given leadership to our foreparents, and that leadership made them slaves. We have decided to find a leadership of our own to make ourselves a free nation. He says we are not going to be a race without a country to live in. God never intended this, and that we must not abuse God's confidence in us as man. John Marcus I, King Selassie I, Jah Rastafari. Do the Luciferians, Illuminati knows that the black man is thinking in terms of perpetual motion? He's also thinking in terms of the hidden mysteries of the world. And you do not know what oppressed and depressed by virtue of his condition and circumstances he may give to the world as a surprise. Do you carnivores know that when the black man is forced to do things, they do them with greater effect than when they are not forced to do them? Do you know that having us forced into a corner, as you have us currently, that some of us will think and think evil? Evil white world, you have forced more than over 400 million black man and woman to be a menace to your wrong up world. You have now forced us to think that way. Fire burn Rome, John, Marcosai, King Selassie, Jah, Rastafari. Yes, this evil white world has forced us, the priests, prophets, archangels, warriors and death angels of the Most High God of Ethiopia, Africa, with more than 400 million black warriors and everything that has life and breath, to rise up and destroy the wicked evil white world. Jah Rastafari. If a fire make it burn, and if a blood make it run, and if a water will not give the evil white world none in this last judgment. Earthquake burial in a Europe, Holy Emmanuel eyes. Rastafari. We have to do it, black people. If you cannot do it, if you are not prepared to do it, then you will die. You race of cowards, you race of imbeciles, you race of good for nothing. If you cannot do what other men have done, what other races have done, what other nation has done, then you have better die. Can we do it? We can do it, black people. Let's slew Rehoboam Babylon and set up Melchizedek righteous kingdom. 4 wings of earth ruling natural from our throne room of the Ethiopia Africa Black International Congress. Foundation headquarters straight to Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. Fulfilling prophecy and history of righteousness covering the earth as our water covers the sea. Holy Emmanuel Rastafari. So whatsoever man has done, man must do, black people. And looking into your eyes, I see great warriors rising up in the cause of Ethiopia, Africa's freedom. I see in the eyes of you an Hannibal in California, overseeing the authorized destruction of San Francisco, Hollywood and Glads. Yeah, I see an Idi Amin Dada bearing down on the galleons of Rome, Greece, Spain and Russia. I see in the eyes of some of you a Tanwetaman storming God knows with brimstone and fire, bringing never seen destruction to Elizabeth's office of her Governor General and their pro-gay politicians in Egypt, Jamaica. Yeah, warriors, looking into your eyes, I see a crown prince storming the brigadier's office at Uppart Camp with the Royal Covenant banners aloft, taking full command of the army and all the security forces. I see the many death angels that shall burn gay flag and their sympathizers yard and abroad, where their blood shall be licked by the dogs in the same and the eerie scalp of such that goes on still in his trespasses. Yeah, black man, I see in your eyes Ibidi Mileka, who was given ever-living life for setting Jeremiah and the captives free by flying all prison doors. Holy Emmanuel, King Selassie, Jah Rastafari. And in the eyes of some of you black women, I see Nzinga doing service on the battlefields of Africa, leading the hundreds and thousands of black nurses, following the millions of African legions, marching out and driving out all friendly whites and all sodomite and faggots that idolize them out of Ethiopia, Africa. Whether by Lancia or Dada, make even the white baby we just born of leave our black continent with immediate effect. else a judgment in a Zion. Jah Rastafari. Yes, I see in the eyes of some of you an Empress Title snatching both banners of the red, gold, and green, and the red, black, and green with the respective symbols attached. Belly all banded with black cloth and shouting to 400 black men in downtown Kingston. Burn it to the foundations thereof. O daughter of Babylon, who are to be destroyed. Happy shall he be that rewarded thee as thou hast served us. Happy shall he be that take it and dash it thy little ones against the stone. Blood uptown and blood downtown. Swallow fish shall be the bloody battlefield in this last judgment. Holy Emmanuel eyes. Rastafari. Rome desolation continues. Continue reading. But like Amil Barkar told his son Hannibal, 240 and 880 and 2 BCE, Rome must be destroyed. He says, son, if we don't take it to them, they will come for us. Hence the 3 Punic wars fought between Rome and the Black Carthaginians of Tunisia and North Africa, over trade in sea roads, separating the 2 continents. The military genius of Hannibal is taught worldwide in Caucasian military schools, but it was not his mission to destroy Rome. The city of Rome, built on the 7 hills in Italy, will be destroyed by Melchizedek, as written in prophecy and history. Rome's axis of evil must end, for the needy shall not always be forgotten. The expectation of the poor shall not perish forever. This evil triad of the Vatican, who controls religion, the White House and the military, and Buckingham Palace, them finance, must be destroyed with brimstone and tempestuous fire. Jah Rastafari. Let lightning strike the White House, smiting the false prophet and him first men with instant death. Calling for volcanic eruption in America. No! Yellowstone, brimstone, lava. Camps and them 8,000 drone helicopters and them Bohemian Grove. Destroy the evil white world in one hour, God, Holy Emmanuel eyes. Rastafari. Calling on the right honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey to forward honorable prophet in a mega tsunami rising from the west coast of Africa straight to the east coast of America. Heart attack for the wicked men. No mercy for the merciless. Death and destruction for the evil white world and the east coast of America. Jah Rastafari. There will be death and mourning in the evil white world if we do not send 21 miles of high water ships. No peace will come to earth unless we, the creators of earth, return to our own vine and fig tree of Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, Africa legally. Marcosai, King Selassie, Jah Rastafari. Revelation 13 verse 11 to 18 symbolizes what the Vatican has in store regarding the unveiling of their Antichrist. They aim to pull off one of the biggest deception ever of making a Jesus, G-E-E-Z-A-S, in the flesh. I am sure the budget required for all the holography and special effects comes with no salary cap. Knowing the technology will be alien cutting edge, I am sure production duties undertaken will be done by the elitists of Hollywood movie making, such as a DreamWorks team, mixed up with a multinational corporation of sorcerers. Quote, and I beheld another beast coming out of the earth, and he had 2 horns, Baphomet like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon, and he exercised all the power of the first beast, the Pope, before him, and caused the earth and them which dwell to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. The Vatican 1920 and 9. And he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men. Fire burn Jesus, Baphomet, Jah Rastafari. The Roman letters and symbols of Vicarius Filii is always on the vestures of the Pope, and when interpreted counts to 666. The 18th verse says, quote, "Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number from man, and his number is 666. Death to Rome, Romulus and Remus. Death to all dogs and bitches of Europe, calling on the archangels Gabriel, Raphael, Uriel, Michael, and Metatron to pour non-stop fire upon these white infidels, Holy Emmanuel eyes, Jah, Rastafari, Naya Bingi assassination order, break Europe to pieces with the strength of thy heavenly host Melchizedek upheaval we call for in Iceland. Split it in two, that all the way down to Madrid, Spain. Burn from Buckingham Palace straight across to St. Peter's Square, Russia. It's a burial for the evil white world. Thou shalt make them as a fiery oven in the time of thine anger. The Lord shall swallow them up in his wrath, and the fire shall devour them. Their fruit shall thou destroy from the earth, and their seed from among the children of men. For they intended evil against thee. They imagined a mischievous device which they are not able to perform. Therefore the Lord shall make them turn their back, when thou shalt make ready thine arrows upon thy strings against the face of them. Be thou exalted, O Lord, in thine own strength, so will we sing and praise thy power, powerful Emmanuel eyes. Jah, Rastafari, lightning strike them space station, Leviathan bust up them underwater bunker, earthquake expose the dead devils in a mount where the Holy Emmanuel eyes. Jah, Rastafari, Queen Elizabeth. Continue reading. Come down and sit in the dust, Egypt, Jamaica, O virgin daughter of Babylon. Sit on the ground, coronation market. There is no throne, O daughter of the Chaldeans, the Illuminati. For thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate. Take the millstones and grind the meal and cover thy locks. Make bare the leg and cover the thigh. Pass over the rivers. Thy nakedness shall be uncovered. Yea, thy shame shall be seen. I will take vengeance, and I will not meet thee as a man, Holy Emmanuel eyes. Rastafari. Isaiah 40:7 here is telling what is to become of the Queen of England, Elizabeth II, a ninth circle member and sodomite head of the Commonwealth, who will be besotted with madness after witnessing the destruction of her queendom. London Bridge is falling permanently, and all of Dogland is burning. She will retreat to her jewel of the Caribbean, Egypt, Jamaica, her source for fresh black blood and slaves, officially for her bloodline for over 2,000 years now. She has fornicated with so many because she is the mother of harlots that even the madmen on Spanish Town Road will revenge themselves under the range White Witch of Rosal. Fire burn the Jezebel and harlot King Selassie Jah, Rastafari. Isaiah 8 continues. Therefore, hear now this, thou that art given to pleasures that dwell carelessly, that sayest in thine heart, I am, and none else beside me. I shall not sit as a widow, neither shall I know the loss of children. Verse 9 says, but these two things shall come to thee in a moment, in one day, the loss of children and the widowhood. They shall come upon thee in their perfection for the multitude of thy sorcerers, and for the abundance of thine enchantments. Thou art wearied in the multitude of thy counsels. Let now the astrologers, the stargazers, the monthly prognosticators stand up and save thee from these things that shall come upon thee. Behold, they shall be as stubble. The fire shall burn them. They shall not deliver themselves from the power of the flame. There shall not be a coal to warm at, nor fire to sit before. Revelation 18 verse 8 says, therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death and mourning and famine, and she shall be utterly burned with fire. For strong is the Lord who judgeth her, and the kings of the earth who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her shall beware wail her and lament for her when they shall see the smoke of her burning, standing afar off for the fear. Alas, alas, that great city Babylon, that mighty city, for in 1 hour is thy judgment come, Holy Emmanuel I, Selassie I, Jah, Rastafari. Shall we make it, black people? By the Almighty in the eternal heavens, we are pledged to make it. God himself, the standard bearer, King Emmanuel VII, is our leader and we will follow him. Christ the crucified, Christ the despised. We appeal to you from the great memories of the past. We appeal to you for help, for succor, and for leadership when you endeavor to carry your burden up the heights of Calvary. When white men scorn you, when white men scorn you, when white men spat upon you, when white men pierce your side, out of which blood and water gush forth. It was the black man in the name of Simon the Cyrene who took the cross and bore it up the heights of Calvary. So now, Dada, when we are climbing our Calvary of black supremacy, freedom, redemption, and international repatriation universally, and the burden being heavy, we ask that thou help us on up the journey of the heights. Surely we shall not turn back. The cause is grand, the cause is glorious. Sail on, oh sail on, mighty black star liner ships of state, sail on. We shall not stop now. We shall sail on until both the red, black, and green, and the red, gold, and green, and the lion crowned with the R, and the black 5-point star symbols respectively, is perched upon the hilltops of Ethiopia, Africa, the land where I and I, the first gods and goddesses, will be. Holy Emmanuel I, Selassie I, Jah, Rastafari. One God for us all. Them and those that love the evil white world must fall. Jah, Rastafari. My Lord and Empress, Prince and Princess, blessed love, Haile Selassie I, Jah, Rastafari.